here to bring you all the action from the racetrack and on Racing America. First car out on the racetrack for Pro Late Model qualifying will be the 70 of Gavin Graham out of Lakeland, Florida. The L&R Structural Corporation, I-Box Springs, Cirque, and Blair Corporation, number 70 out of Lakeland, Florida. Rodney, it's Rattler time.
It is a chilly afternoon, but it is time to go. Race time right here at South Alabama Speedway. 3 dead laps is what they will get here on their qualifying effort as we get set to go, rolling this thing around. Here is Gavin Graham in car number 70, still on his dead laps right now as he makes his way out of turn 4. Green flag in the air, and Baby Rattler qualifying is underway. Graham down into turn number 1. He'll keep it down at the bottom of the speedway, take it to the back straightaway. Off we roll. First car under time here in qualifying for the Baby Rattler 125, presented by Rogers Dabb Chevrolet and Junior's Lawnmower Shop. White flag in the air, that time by 15.932, 15.932. Lap number 1 for Gavin Graham. To the back straightaway he goes. He'll dive it into turn number 3, making his way around out of corner number 4. Checkered flag is in the air, and that time by 15.944, 15944. That time by for Gavin Graham. It'll be a 15.932, the time of record for Gavin Graham on the racetrack now in car number 58. Making his way out of New Braunfels, Texas. This is a Ben Kennedy development driver. He was 8th in 2023 here at the Alabama 200. First Call Plumbing, Heating and Air, the sponsors for Johnny Armendia. That Armendia last name may sound familiar. This is the nephew of longtime short track shoe out of the Central Texas area, Joe Armendia. Here is Johnny, and he's getting ready to make time here at the Rattler.
Structure for this qualifying session here is 3 dead laps. They added the extra dead lap to get up to speed, the warm-up lap, because of the very chilly temperatures this afternoon here in South Alabama. So this is to be the first lap of time. He's now on it. The green flag just coming out for Armendia. We mentioned a Ben Kennedy development driver. He was 8th a couple of weeks ago up at the Alabama 200 at Montgomery Motor Speedway. First lap for Armendia is...
Armendia flashes by 16.283, 16283. Lap number 1, Armendia. He will head to the back straightaway and try to better that as he'll dive it into the corner number 3. Wanting to get into that 15-second bracket. 15932 is what he's chasing. Ryan, checker flag. But Armendia, a tick quicker, say that 10 times. 16.196, 16196 will be the fast time for Johnny Armendia.
Armendia comes second, and you see on your screens right now on Racing America, that is the number 9, the Jet Motorsports car with a very new face behind the wheel of that. That is some guy named Pollard. Roddy, you ever heard of that guy?
Yeah, running back for the Dallas Cowboys, Tony Pollard.
Oh, is that right?
That's who it is. That's who it is.
Actually, it's going to be who many people consider the greatest of all time. He called up Kurt Jett the other day, said, I want to run the Baby Rattler. You got a car? Kurt said, I sure do. So here he is. That's Bubba Pollard in a Jet Motorsports Pro Late Model number 9.
How do you tell King Bubba Pollard? No, you absolutely do not. And here he is in that familiar livery as he makes his way around that red number 9. And I am looking forward to this right here. This is going to be pretty fantastic here to watch him come down and take the green flag, Ryan.
Bubba Pollard, of course, out of Sonoy, Georgia, former winner of the All-American 400, the Oxford 250, the Rattler, the Slinger Nationals, and about a gajillion other late model events across the country. Has won this pro late model race here at the Rattler a handful of times before, mostly driving his own equipment or that famous Ronnie Sanders number 18. Now driving the Jet Motorsports number 9, first lap.
King Bubba Pollard will clock in at a 15.783, 15783. That's 0.2 of a second quicker than what the previous time was from Gavin Graham. Here he is on lap number 2. He'll try to better that down at the bottom of the speedway. Out of corner number 4, checkered flag in the air from the birdcage. Bubba Pollard flashes by quicker. 15757, 15757, your new fast time here in Baby Rattler 125 qualifying.
15 with a 7 for Pollard. That's going to be the time that everybody tries to catch over these next handful of race cars. We've now qualified 3. We got 22 total, including the one on the racetrack. We go from a guy from Sonoy, Georgia, to a guy from Ohsweken, Ontario, Canada, the veteran dirt racer, an 8-time sprint car champion up in Canada, the great Glenn Styers.
Styers making his dead laps here. As Ryan mentioned, adding that one dead lap. Very cool temperatures here. We were in the 30s this morning, but now we've kind of ticked that up just a little bit. Wind has been the thing, Ryan, but it looks like that wind is subsiding a little bit depending on when you look at the flag.
It's whipping. It's chilly outside. I mean, it maybe not for a guy like Glenn Styers, who's from Ohsweken, Ontario. It's probably summertime weather for him, but for us South Alabama folks, it's mighty, mighty chilly, windy, and uncomfortable, I would say, if you don't have a heavy coat on outside.
Glenn Styers is watching all of us so cold and laughing at us is what he is doing right now.
All the way from Ontario, Canada, the veteran dirt racer comes across the line the first time at 16.491. Slowest of our 4 cars so far. Looking for a little bit more speed is the Glenn Styers Racing number 0.
Try to work it as he moves through corners 3 and 4, making his way out. He'll take it to the top of the speedway, take the checkered flag, and that lap by 16.361, so he's able to get a 10th out of that, but he is still currently 4th on the pylon as the next car rolls out onto the racetrack.
Turn number 4 coming to get his up-to-speed laps out of Loosedale, Mississippi, the Agricola number 4 of Elliott Massey, coming off a good third-place finish back in 2021 at the Lee Fields Memorial down at Mobile International Speedway. Elliott, a independent guy out of Mississippi, tries to make as many of these deep south races as he can. Haven't seen him here at the Rattler in quite a few years, but good to have him back, the pride of Loosedale, Mississippi.
Absolutely. Elliott Massey, one of our frequent contenders and top-notch drivers over at Mobile International Speedway in our pro late models. Lap number 1 there, pardon me, that's a dead lap there. But yeah, Massey, one of our regular competitors there in our pro late model class, and good to see him come and make the trip back over to the Baby Rattler. Let's see how he fares as he gets set to take green for his qualifying effort.
Under Drew Chance's green flag and into turn number 1, Massey, good line, hooks the bottom of the racetrack over in 1 and 2, lets it drift out to the outside wall down the back straightaway. South Alabama Speedway, 4/10 of a mile oval here, moderate banking in the corners. Not quite what he's used to over at Mobile in that big high bank racetrack, and he'll time in, I believe, 5th, Rodney?
Yes, sir, 16.547. 16547 here on this racy little 4/10 of a mile racetrack here at South Alabama Speedway, the home of the Rattler 250. Checkered flag in the air, lap number 2 here for Massey as he flashes by 16.419, 16419. He will be 5th on the pylon. They are all still chasing Bubba Pollard at 15.757.
Getting up to speed right now and over in turns 1 and 2 is a driver that impressed me in the happy hour session earlier today. She was consistently up inside the top 5 of all of our Pro Late Model practice sessions. From Hueytown, Alabama, the Birmingham Auto Auction and GART, number 11 of JoJo Wilkinson.
JoJo on the racetrack. Actually talked with her a couple of weeks back on Dirty Air, Ryan. She is primed for a really good 2023, hopefully for her and her team. And they want to get it fired off right here at the Baby Rattler 125, presented by Roger Stapp Chevrolet and Junior's Lawnmower Shop. As she continues to work her way around, she'll be taking the green flag the next time by.
6th in the 2022 Show Me the Money point standings at Montgomery Motor Speedway. Of course, she is the daughter of one of the best hot shoes of the 90s and the early 2000s in the Deep South in John Boy Wilkinson. She's trying to make her name as a young, what's she, about 19, 20 years old student at University of Alabama, I believe.
Absolutely. And there she goes, flashing by for the first time. And JoJo up to 2nd, 15.911. 3rd car into the 15-second bracket, Ryan. And here she goes. She's going to take it down into turn number 3. I think she's going to have a better lap right here.
I told you she was fast earlier this afternoon. Does she have enough to knock Bubba Pollard off the top? Not quite.
15.988. So just a tick off. So 15.988 that time by, but she is 2nd on the grid, sitting on that provisional front row with Bubba Pollard.
Good start for her to start 2nd on the outside of Pollard. That'd be a dream come true for her. Is now Jeff Dawkins, the veteran from Deepsville, Alabama, in the CNC Mortgage number 2 is out on the racetrack. He was 8th in the Baby Rattler back in 2019.
Let's watch Dawkins make his way down the back straightaway. A very sharp-looking race car as he makes his way around right here with that Ford Mustang body on it. Remember, 3 dead laps is what they are getting for that chilly temperature that we keep talking about. And the thing about it, Ryan, we'll be talking about it throughout the weekend. Tomorrow, maybe a little cooler. Maybe the wind will not be such a factor.
The sun's actually going to a little bit tomorrow. It's I'd probably say we're at, 90% cloud cover. No rain this afternoon. Like we had a lot of it last night. Didn't get our Friday portion of our local divisions ran last night. Super stocks were supposed to run last night. They're actually going to run later on today. We'll talk about that a little bit. Jeff Dawkins comes across the line, times it in fourth with a pretty good lap.
16.139, 16139. And indeed, Ryan, a lot of rain last night. You get a Texan out of Texas, throw him into Florida, tell him to get to Alabama and try to find his way here in the mist. That was quite the ride for me last night, but I made it. I made it, most importantly. 16.201, 16.201 will be the time there for Dawkins. He sits fourth on the provisional grid for the Baby Rattler 125.
As we were saying earlier, our super stocks, South Alabama super stocks, will race tonight as a added bonus. There will be 25 laps a little later tonight before our Pro Late models will go for 125 green laps. But on the racetrack right now, the number 91 Cross-Eyed Owl Brewing Company machine, ninth in the 2022 Baby Rattler, third in Show Me the Money points at Montgomery last season. For Madison, Alabama, it's Big Jim Wall.
Very familiar name in these Pro Late models. Jim Wall, as he continues to warm those American Racer tires as much as possible to try to get ready for his qualifying effort right here. This is Wall. He is the 8th car to take time right here. Everybody still chasing 17.757. That is your fast time at the moment for Bubba Pollard.
Flag waving over the top of Jim Wall's red and black machine as he goes down the back straightaway now. A little bit of a bobble off of turn number 2. We'll see if it cost him any time as he tiptoes his way through 3 and 4. Those left side tires pin right down on that white line. Jim Wall going to go in fourth right behind Gavin Graham.
Jim Wall with a 16 flat, 16.000. Let's see if he can break into the 15-second category. There are three of the 8 cars. Jim Wall trying to join that group right here as the checkered flag waves over him, and he does. 15.992, 15992. He sits fourth on the starting grid.
I have 8 cars that have taken time. It's Bubba Pollard leading it, then JoJo Wilkinson, the second fastest, then Gavin Graham, Jim Wall, Jeff Dawkins, Joe Armendia, Glenn Styers, and Elliott Massey. Your 8 cars have taken time with Colin Allman out of Plant City, Florida, the Race Car Engineering FLF Race Cars number 67.
I'll tell you one of the most impressive things this afternoon. You take a look out over the main grandstands here at South Alabama Speedway. You have a lot of folks that are here way early to catch this single car qualifying as we work into the Baby Rattler 125 and into the local show. They are showing up in droves already. Temperature, not that big a deal. Maybe we got a little Canadian in us after all down here in the Deep South.
Out of the grandstands, and I see a lot of jackets and blankets. I don't know if we have a little Canadian, if we're just well prepared like good Boy Scouts down here in South Alabama. Colin Allman, green flag waving over him. He had a great 2021. He came here to the Baby Rattler, I believe, finished third in it. Then at the end of the season out at Snowflake in Pensacola that year, finished third down there. Really started showing that he could run with these guys, these big names in Pro Late Model competition. He times in fourth right now out of that Steve Dorr Race Car Engineering School of Thought down there in Southern Florida.
Allman with a 15.974, 15.974. He's about 2/10 off. Here is the checkered flag, second time around, and he will better it. Now he is up to third, 15.913, 15913. It's Pollard, JoJo Wilkinson, Allman, and Gavin Graham, your top 4.
67 of Allman. Now here's a driver in the Roger Dabbs Chevrolet 00. Needs no introduction in the Deep South, especially from where you hang out a lot these days over in Mobile, Alabama. Former NASCAR Trucks winner, Kale Gale in the 00 for William Wombles.
Lots of folks excited to see Kale Gale jump into a Pro Late model this year, get out here, and I've heard it said that he's trying to finish some unfinished business. Not sure what that may be when you have a resume like Kale Gale, but if that's what it's going to take to drive him to the front of the pack, maybe that's what he's telling himself. So we'll take a look, and here he is as he works down the back straightaway, still working on his warm-up laps again. Remember, there are 3. We keep mentioning that, but it's usually 2. We just want to remind you, 3 here as he comes down to take the green flag.
Coming to take the green flag. Great speed shot on our 5-star race car bodies feed on Racing America. Kale Gale got that NASCAR truck win at Homestead back in 2011. You remember who he outdueled that day, Rodney?
I absolutely do. What a ride that was. When you outduel that guy, you have done something. White flag in the air right there as he makes his way down. Lap number 1 here for Kale Gale, 16.099. Pretty good start right there. He's flirting with the 15-second bracket as well. Look at that good run here coming out of 4.
That car had the front left corner right down on top of the racetrack, and he will time it in 5th quick for Kale Gale.
Absolutely, 15.932, 15932. We're starting to see those times click up a little bit. Remember, not a lot of rubber on this racetrack. You had some practice sessions a little bit earlier this afternoon, but a very green racetrack after the washout last night. So we're going to continue to watch things pick themselves up here as we continue rolling here through qualifying.
Now the quasi-teammate of Colin Allman. This is the proprietor of Race Car Engineering, the number 10 out of Lakeland, Florida, of 2011 Redbud 400 and 2022 Florida Winterfest champion, the veteran Steve Dorr.
Dorr out of turn number 4, green flag up at the air, and now he is under time. Here in Baby Rattler 125, qualifying to the back straightaway. He goes, keeping it down at the bottom of the speedway. He'll ease it up to the top side. Now dive down into turn number 3, keeping it right there along the white line. Out of turn number 4, white flag in the air, first time around for Dorr, and he will qualify in at, we don't know. Maybe a little transponder issue right there. So we'll have to go back and try to get that figured out. Well, that's a little kink in the armor right there for us.
We'll see if Steve gets the time this time. Yeah, he does. Steve Dorr will jump up to 7th quick. We'll make a check over with race officials to see if that is, in fact, his fast time. And he's off the gas, so I guess that's what's going to be his fast time. So Steve Dorr, 7th quick, 16.085 for Steve Dorr as he makes his way into the pit area. Next up on the racetrack, we talked about Colin Allman having a really good 2021. Well, this guy might have had the best 2022 in all of pro late model racing. He came here and won the Baby Rattler last year in dominant fashion, took his momentum back up to his home track of the Nashville Fairgrounds, won the pro late model championship up there. This is out of Lebanon, Tennessee, the Hunter Industrial, Jan Fan and Shotko, along with U.S. Tank and Cryogenics, number 89 of Dylan Fetcho.
So many great young asphalt short track drivers that we get to watch around the country. This guy right at the top of the list right here, that resume that you just talked about right there, and that's very early in his career. Green flag in the air as he is set to take time right here. Let's check this out, Ryan. 15.757 is what he's chasing. This may be the guy that's going to be flirting with that time here with Pollard up at the top of the heap.
Oh, there's some big names coming out next. Fetcho, Bryson Shaffer, Evan Shotko, Jeremy Miller, Michael Hein. All a lot of bullets for Pollard to try to dodge, and he's dodged the first one, but it's a good lap for Fetcho right there.
Solid lap, 15.987, 15987. He's about 2/10 off. Here he comes, drives it, powers it out of the corner. Checkered flag in the air. Fetcho makes his way. 15.892, 15892, about a whisker off of what Bubba Pollard laid down earlier.
Fetcho would be right there with Bubba Pollard. It was, a hair's breadth away. Here's another driver out of the state of Tennessee that can get the job done behind the wheel. Out of Jackson, Tennessee, the Clark family homes, number 12S of Bryson Shaffer. Top 10s at the 2022 Flake and at the 2023 Speed Fest, so he knows how to run well when big-time races come to his place.
He sure does, and here is Shaffer right here getting set for the 125 as he will take one more lap around to get set to take the green flag, and let's see what he can do with that. Moments ago, 15.892, oh so close to the 15.757 that Bubba Pollard laid down. We'll continue to watch them as they make their way around. Green flag in the air, Shaffer's under time.
Right down to the bottom of the racetrack, or he's trying to get it to the bottom of the racetrack. Down the back straightaway, now out against the wall, the number 12 of Shaffer. We mentioned two top 10s in 2 big races, one in December, one in January, now one in March. The white flag is out for Shaffer. 11th quick at 16.271. He's going to be looking for a lot more on this final trip around.
A little bit off right there, so he'll have to power it down into turn number 3. Keep it down at the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to stand on the gas right there. A little bit of a bobble. He'll take it out of corner number 4, and Shaffer will qualify in at a 16.358. 16358 outside the top 10, sitting in position 11.
It's a little bit through halfway. We have 22 cars. Shaffer was the 13th car to take time. 14th on our scoring sheet, but we did have a scratch earlier as Dawson Fletcher was not able to make qualifying. He was not at roll call this morning, so I don't think Dawson is here with us today. So we're waiting on a little pause in our qualifying action, as we don't want to say anything, but there is some stuff on our window up here. We're not really sure what it is, though.
Yeah, maybe it's us. Maybe we're just so excited. Maybe that's what that is. It's coming off. Taking a look at our times as we run right now. Bubba Pollard continues to sit at the top of the heap. 15.757. Dylan Fetcho second. 15.892. JoJo Wilkinson, she's at a 15.988. Colin Allman, 15.913. And rounding out the top 5 is Gavin Graham at a 15.944. You got 7 cars sitting there in that 15-second bracket. Momentary pause right here, but still lots of qualifying to go. And then after this, you've got more qualifying coming up, as we will qualify the cars for the 47th annual Hardee's Rattler 250 here at South Alabama Speedway, and we have a star-studded cast for that one.
Welcome to Raceface Digital Collectible Cards. Are you a driver or a team looking to expand your brand? Want to connect with your fans, give sponsors more exposure, and earn income from all card sales? Then Raceface Digital has you covered. Digitize your brand with 5 different collectible cards. Enrollment is now open to all drivers and all series. Visit racefacedigital.com today and use invite code RA1.
SRI Performance and Stock Car Steel are your all-inclusive motorsports warehouses with more than 450 product lines. They have everything to put you in victory lane, from professional racing to street performance. SRI and Stock Car Steel have you covered with leading brands, as well as a large selection of steel, aluminum, and plastics. With locations in North Carolina and Indiana, access has never been easier. SRI has the world's largest inventory of used parts.
Ty Majeski has figured out it is him, but we're all pulling for him, all wishing him great luck up in Atlanta, and hopefully can get the job done there and then come on down here and get the job done down here tomorrow.
He has indeed. He has won the Rattler 250 5 times. He's won the last 3, so he is looking to add another one right there. And I'll tell you, if he's able to do that, that is going to be some kind of history in short track racing with the resume that Ty Majeski has put together here in the Hardee's Rattler 250.
Housekeeping real quick. No motorized traffic can cross the racetrack. Only foot traffic at this time. No golf carts, four-wheelers, or vehicles can cross the racetrack at this time.
So still cars on pit road to qualify here for the 18th annual Grasshopper Baby Rattler 125, presented by Rogers Dabb Chevrolet and Junior's Lawnmower Shop. Still that to go. Momentary pause right here as we'll cover up some of the super late models and take a pause.
Welcome to Raceface Digital Collectible Cards. Are you a driver or a team looking to expand your brand? Want to connect with your fans, give sponsors more exposure, and earn income from all card sales? Then Raceface Digital has you covered. Digitize your brand with 5 different collectible cards. Enrollment is now open to all drivers and all series. Visit racefacedigital.com today and use invite code RA1.
SRI Performance and Stock Car Steel are your all-inclusive motorsports warehouses with more than 450 product lines. They have everything to put you in victory lane, from professional racing to street performance. SRI and Stock Car Steel have you covered with leading brands, as well as a large selection of steel, aluminum, and plastics. With locations in North Carolina and Indiana, access has never been easier. SRI has the world's largest inventory of used parts. SRI Performance and Stock Car Steel and Aluminum, your one-stop shops for everything racing.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety, providing the most advanced driver safety products to NASCAR, IndyCar, sprint cars, and sports cars drivers. From grassroots to professional racers, HMS Motorsport has over 25 years' experience outfitting drivers with the best gear on the market. Equipped with first-hand product knowledge, our experts are ready to help you select the best harness belts, seats, head restraints, helmets, and racing attire for your type of racing. HMS is even the exclusive importer for Schroed belts, Schubert helmets, and Valero base layers. Visit one of our stores in Mooresville, North Carolina, or Danvers, Massachusetts. Or check us online at hmsmotorsport.com, where you can learn the details of our products and order online. Safety starts here.
Hey, I'm Bubba Pollard, and you're watching Racing America.
Back at South Alabama Speedway as we are in qualifying for the 18th annual Grasshopper Baby Rattler 125 presented by Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet and JR's Lawnmower Shop. Momentary pause, just a slight passing shower over South Alabama Speedway. We've got one safety vehicle out on the racetrack at the moment just to make sure that we keep the track just as ready as possible. Still, several Pro Late models sitting on pit road, and some big-time contenders set to make their way out when we resume that qualifying. And then following that, as we mentioned earlier, it'll be qualifying for the SRL National 47th Annual Hardee's Rattler 250 coming up here at South Alabama Speedway. And the good news is this does appear to just be a very quick shower passing right through. Ryan and I were talking during the break, not even really anything that you could see on the radar prior to this. Everything seemed pretty clear. A lot of overcast definitely up above us this evening, or this afternoon as it would be, but not really anything showing on radar. So probably just a little blip right here, just a little passerby. It's not really even factoring into having to get a lot of safety vehicles out on the racetrack right now to keep this thing as ready as possible, maybe blowing it just a little bit through the corners, but we should be ready to resume here momentarily.
Yeah, the couple of drops that we had on our windshield, or our window up here in the tower, have all but dried up. So one thing that wind will help us to do, if we do get a little bit of wet stuff fall from the sky, it will dry pretty quickly. If we can keep some of the heat in the racetrack with that cool breeze, it should do just fine. So you see our South Alabama Speedway safety crew working on the track in the groove with the blower down in turn number 4, and I believe I hear some cars getting fired up, so may not be too long before Evan Shotko and some other guys get their chance to qualify. You see Evan Shotko on your screen right there on Racing America. He's one of the best there is up in the Midwest. I'll go ahead and we talked about 2022 for Dylan Fetcho. Well, Evan Shotko also in 2022, he won the Battle at Berlin. He won the Berlin Track Championship up there. So he's going to be the pro late model here, but I wouldn't be shocked if we saw him behind the wheel of a super late model when the SRL National Tour goes to Berlin later on this summer. Just a matter of time, that gradual progression right there. And we see earlier in the week, you saw it right here on Racing America for those of you checking in on the free preview here for qualifying. Evan Shotko this week also announced as one of the Kowicki development drivers as well. So continuing to add to that resume right there. And that really is the cool thing about when we do get going. You mentioned it a while ago. With what we have sitting on pit road ready to come out, Bubba Pollard right now with the 15.757 sitting there, he knows what's coming. He knows what's coming. You got to know he is watching that scoring monitor when we get set to go. And there on the Racing America feed, you see the Ty Majeski car. And we continue to monitor what's happening in the Craftsman Truck Series race over in Atlanta. The question's going to be, is he going to be able to get done there to get here and qualify that 91 car this afternoon? NASCAR overtime in the Craftsman Truck Series race. Ty Majeski still running or restart in the 10th position. So they're coming to the green flag here. So we'll see if Majeski's able to fend his way through the traffic and find his way to victory lane, or if he will have to jump on a plane without a trophy and come on down here to try to win one at South Alabama Speedway. Ty's probably thinking that maybe not in the front of his brain right now, but he's like, let's take the white flag.
let's take the white flag at Atlanta. Let's at least get that far and figure out what happens to that point. But momentary pause right here, so definitely something in his favor as you watch the 91 car sitting on pit road. That's the question. Will he be able to get here in time to qualify that car? If not, he'll go shotgun on the field.
All right, race fans, you see on your screen in Racing American on the back straightaway of the Speedway, Bryson Shaffer going to get a little redo on his qualifying since the wet stuff started falling from the sky during his run. Gets an up-to-speed lap, and he'll be a green-white checker next time by for Shaffer on a redo for his qualifying. Now, this may work for him a little bit, Rodney. His tires are already up to temperature. He may benefit from this.
Blessing in disguise right here. There is that green flag as it waves over Shaffer into turn number 1. Green-white checkered. Here he goes, making his way to the back straightaway. Down at the bottom of the Speedway, middle of the racetrack as he takes it down into turn number 3. He'll keep it down around that white line. First time by. Here is that white flag in the air for Shaffer. Let's take a look at the time. And he will qualify in at a 16.055, 16055. Here he comes, Ryan. He's going to take it into turn number 3 here for his final lap.
Hands it down to the bottom of the racetrack, looking at the checkered flag this time, and it works out great for Bryson Shaffer. How about outside of row number 1 for the 12th car, Shaffer?
15.867, 15.867. The 12 car waits. Little passing shower. Things falling from heaven for Bryson Shaffer. He goes to the outside of row number 1.
Phil's going to be down there saying, hey, I see rain on my windshield too. That Bryson Shaffer jumps that thing up to the outside of row number 1. Now, we talked about him a little bit earlier, all the way from, I believe, Coopersville, Michigan. That's right, the 2022 Berlin Pro Late Model Series champion. It is the Bettenbecker Auto Group Jansen Services Incorporated, number 22 of Evan Shotko.
Shotko here on his warm-up laps. We talked about that impressive resume, so he had a little bit of time to think about this one as we had that momentary delay. There's that rolled-up green flag. Next time by, he'll be up to speed, and he will be under his qualifying time. Update, Ryan, it looks like Atlanta is done.
Motor Speedway's Truck Series race is done. Former Snowball Derby winner Christian Eckes goes to victory lane. Ty Majeski finished 11th as they wrecked across the finish line. And Shotko comes to a stop on the front straightaway.
You know, I was watching him on his first dead lap. He went into turn number 1. He stood on the gas a little bit right there, and he went straight up the racetrack. So I don't know if maybe there's a little moisture over in turn number 1. There you see him stopped on the Racing America feed. You don't see, or really don't see, massive precipitation sitting over there. But maybe that's what we're checking. But it is at a stop right here on the front straightaway for the 22 car.
Shotko has come to a stop, and as we say that, I do see a couple of more streaks on our window here. It's very, very odd. It's a smattering, I guess you'd say, 5 or 6 different drops of rain on our window here. Nothing heavy at all, but maybe just heavy enough to bring a stop to everything here in qualifying. In fact, the caution flag is being pulled back, and I believe the red flag may be displayed here in Pro Late Model qualifying. But going back to what we were talking about is big wreck over in turns 3 and 4 at Atlanta on the last lap. Coming to the white flag allowed Christian Eckes, former Snowball Derby winner and graduate of these late models, to get the win there. Ty Majeski, I believe, flashed across the line in 11th position. So he'll drive that Thor Sport truck quickly back to the garage, debrief with his crew chief, and jump on a car to try to get to the airport to get down here. And if this keeps up right here, Ty Majeski may, in fact, get back in time to climb into that number 91 super late model in just a little bit.
May indeed work out. It's going to be about a 40-minute flight or so, but of course the weather could affect that as well, depending on what's happening between there and here. But we are in a holding pattern at the moment, still with more qualifying to go for the 18th annual Grasshopper Baby Rattler 125, presented by Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet and JR's Lawnmower Shop. That's still to come. And immediately following that, we will go into single-car qualifying for the 47th annual Hardee's Rattler 250 here at South Alabama Speedway. Now we've gotten the Ty Majeski watch out of the way, so we will wait for him to arrive. And as Ryan McCullough mentioned right there, that is a very good scenario for him with this holding pattern now that he'll be able to get here to qualify that number 91 car this afternoon as we get set for all of that still to go. And then immediately following that, we will, of course, have later in the afternoon into the early evening, we will have our local program. As Ryan mentioned as well a little bit earlier, the Super Stocks have been added to the program tonight. They will run a 25-lap main event. They were originally set to race last evening, but with that washout that we had, they have been added this evening. So you've got all of that yet to come. You've got the Road Runners, and you got the Modifieds, and, of course, the 18th Annual Grasshopper Baby Rattler 125. All of that still to happen yet on a chilly afternoon here at South Alabama Speedway.
Five-star bodies, the most advanced bodies on the market, aerodynamically engineered, manufactured from the highest grade and lightest weight materials, tested tough for optimum performance, the highest quality and most durable products you'll find anywhere. Our products help racers around the world reach victory lane. Winning never looked so good. Faster, lighter, stronger, better. 5-star.
Welcome to Raceface Digital Collectible Cards. Are you a driver or a team looking to expand your brand? Want to connect with your fans, give sponsors more exposure, and earn income from all card sales? Then Raceface Digital has you covered. Digitize your brand with 5 different collectible cards. Enrollment is now open to all drivers and all series. Visit racefacedigital.com today and use invite code RA1.
Racing returns to the legendary Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, April 1st and 2nd, the 49th running of the Icebreaker. C-Pass Super Late Models hit the track on Saturday the 1st. Then on Sunday, it's one of the area's oldest modified traditions, the Icebreaker, paying $10,000 to win for the ground-pounding modified. It's the 49th annual Icebreaker at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, and you can watch it all only on Racing America.
I'm Ty Majeski, and you're watching Racing America.
Back live at South Alabama Speedway on the Racing America feed. We are in a holding pattern qualifying for the 18th annual Grasshopper Baby Rattler 125. We are more than halfway through our qualifying this afternoon. Bubba Pollard still your fast time. Currently sitting at the top of the pylon with a 15.757. Bryson Shaffer, moments ago, able to come out and lay down a 15.867. Dylan Fetcho sitting third at 15.892, 15.892. JoJo Wilkinson sitting in the fourth spot at 15.988. And rounding out the top 5 at the moment, it is Colin Allman at a 15.913. Rest of the top 10 as they sit currently. Gavin Graham sitting in the 6th hole. Kale Gale sitting 7th. 8th, Jim Wall, Steve Dorr, and Jeff Dawkins rounding out your top 10 spots as we run now. 13 cars in with our 21-car field here in the Baby Rattler 125.
Check 1 2 1 2. Yeah, it's there. I don't know what to say. Alabama Speedway safety crews out on the racetrack right now trying to get everything dried up so we can continue with Pro Late Model qualifying. Mother Nature must be a Ty Majeski fan. That must be what this is, Rodney. Is Mother Nature likes her 91 and she wants him to be able to get here so he can qualify his Super Late Model.
Definitely the case right there, because it's, if you really trace this thing back, Ryan, right about the time we started talking about NASCAR overtime, that's when we started to see stuff falling out of the sky. So regardless, it's a holding pattern. Ty is done over there, and I can only imagine the mad rush right now to get on that private plane. How about that? Private plane to get to the Rattler 250.
If our friends at Racing America would have thought about it, we should have strapped a GoPro to Ty Majeski's chest or on the bill of his cap for the footage. You could have live, Ty Majeski cam in the airplane or police escort. I wonder if he'll get like a police escort or something, because the airport he's landing at is not here near the racetrack. It's about 15 miles away in Andalusia, Alabama. So once he lands, he's still got a 20-minute trip to the racetrack once he gets out of the airplane.
Now, I guarantee you somebody's got to be chronicling this through video. So somebody's got to have this. I would imagine probably by midweek we'll be able to go back and review how all of this happened. So if you're just checking in, we go to NASCAR overtime and we start thinking, man, is Majeski going to be able to make it here? We're well over halfway through qualifying here for the Baby Rattler 125. About that time, here is the mist. And that's where you check in right there on the Racing America feed. And if you're here, you know it as well as anybody. Out in the chill, we're in a holding pattern. That only helps Ty Majeski if he's able to fly. That could be the other question.
I was told earlier this week it's about a 40-minute flight from where he is at Atlanta, the Hampton, Griffin, Georgia area to Andalusia, Alabama. About 40 to 45 minutes. That's takeoff to touchdown. So how long will it take him to get from the racetrack at the Atlanta Motor Speedway to the airport, and then from the airport in Andalusia to the racetrack here? Will he have enough time to do it? We heard this morning that Ricky Brooks and the staff of the SRL series were going to work with him a little bit. Ricky said he would do it for any driver in that situation. They're not trying to show Ty any favoritism. If any driver ever had that happen, they would work with them, and I salute them for doing that, because they know that how important, or not how important Ty Majeski is, but how much he wants to run and support this race in this series.
And if you take a look at the qualifying grid there for the 47th Annual Hardee's Rattler 250, not quite about halfway through there is where we see the Majeski car parked at the moment. So that right there, if he was further up to the front, that would kind of factor in a little bit. Of course, if he was further to the back, he'd like to be the car way at the back over there at turn number 4. But it is what it is. No exceptions made on any of that stuff. But it is really cool there with Ricky Brooks and the team to try to get him here, because you really look at the resume that we've been talking about, Ryan. He is an integral part of the Rattler 250. And to have him here and to try to continue to add to that legacy, these race fans just love to see him in that 91 car.
Ty Majeski started coming down here about 7 years ago, and his first time he came down here, this place, he said, kind of threw him for a loop. It wasn't like any place he had ever ran up in the Wisconsin or Michigan, Ohio area. But ever since that first trip, he's come back and he's won 5 out of the last 6 times he's been here. The Rattler 250, he has surpassed the legend Ronnie Sanders, who has won it 3 times. Ty's won it 5, going for 6 this weekend. And Ty Majeski has developed quite the following at South Alabama Speedway. People wanting to just come see how dominant one guy can be in a certain place. You think back to, people like Rusty Wallace at Bristol, or Richard Petty at Daytona, Kevin Harvick at Phoenix that we saw last week on the NASCAR telecast. Well, Ty Majeski at South Alabama Speedway is definitely in that conversation. 5 of the last 6 race Rattler 250s has ended with that 91 in victory lane.
I think that's actually, you're touching on something right there, Ryan, that we'll be talking about throughout the weekend. I know to me it's a very a nice talking point just with the entire weekend, just mentioning guys from Wisconsin. And where we have what we have here with this field this weekend is we have a nice tie-in with several states represented. And this used to be, as a young kid myself, I talk about this very often, to where you had an ASA division with Rex Robbins and Bob Harmon's ASA, and they were pretty separate, except one time of the year they would get together and run a race. But now, with all of these big shows like this, with the pros and the super late models, now you've got an influx with great short track drivers from all around the country that come together quite often, and that really does magnify these races as national races.
Absolutely. Looking up and down our qualifying order here for our super late models, we got some Midwest invaders that's become pretty normal outside of Ty Majeski. We have former NASCAR Truck Series champion Johnny Sauter driving here this weekend, Austin Nason, Johnny DeAngelis, guys that are the guys up in the Midwest or Great Lakes areas. And then we team those up with some guys that maybe we consider from the Wild West, from the SRL strongholds of California, people like Blaine Rocha and Jeremy Doss and Jesse Love and Zach Telfer from Idaho and Chris Davidson from Texas, who runs a lot of West Coast races. It truly is a national tour. It's not just 15 guys from the Deep South. It's 8 guys from the South and 8 guys from the Midwest and 8 guys from the West Coast and a couple of guys from New England. Truly is a national tour, what the SRL has put together here this weekend. Going to be a great tour for them. Not the only race on the eastern side of the country for the SRL this year. Got a big one coming up at your place in a couple of weeks, I believe, down at Mobile.
Absolutely. Saturday, April the 1st. It'll be the 2nd annual. We're very proud to say 2nd annual Davidson Electric 125. That, of course, last year won by Bubba Pollard, and just a great drive right there is Donnie Wilson back behind the wheel there at MIS. He came to run with us, and they raced it out to the end. It was a great race. Dustin Smith, our local hero over at MIS, coming in the podium spot there as well. So a really cool race. We're looking forward to that one as well. And the other thing with this weekend, that you really look at, Ryan, obviously with the big happenings here, but you've got a big event happening at Hickory. So to be able to pull this car count in both of these series, or both of these divisions, to be able to pull that together on a race weekend where you've got other big races happening. Very nice job here by the team with the SRL National Series, and really looking forward to just a great race tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to for later on tonight. We got 4 huge features tonight, 25-lap super stocks. I believe it's 50 laps of modifieds. I'm not sure on my schedule. 50 laps of modifieds, Roadrunner cars. If you've never seen a Roadrunner race, they're called Chargers, or they're called Bombers at other places. They're your mom or your aunt or your grandma's grocery getters that people have souped up and made race cars out of. And I call it, and you'll hear me a little bit later on, I'll do my whole intro and spiel about it, but I call it the best weekly racing division in all of America. I'll put it up against the Outlaw division at 5 flags, the modifieds at Bowman Gray Stadium, or anywhere that people think that they have a really good weekly division. I'll put that weekly division up against anywhere. Last year at our local divisions here at South Alabama Speedway, we had 18 races. We had 17 different winners in that division. I put that up against any track, any series in the country with those Roadrunner cars. And then we haven't even talked about the main event of the night, the Grasshopper Pro Late Model 125 presented by JR's Lawnmower Shop and Roger Dabb Chevrolet. Going to be a great show with these cars that we're still trying to get qualified here. I mean, look at some of the names that we have not even mentioned that are going to go out here and qualify. We still have Jeremy Miller. He's a 5-time Big 8 champion from up in the Wisconsin area. You have Michael Hein, who won Speed Fest, the Pro Late Model portion a year or so ago. Dustin Smith, we've already mentioned. Christopher Tullis, who's taken the Pro Late Model world by storm in a couple of recent years, along with Stephen Chun, Brian Reeves, and Zach Dixon still to qualify before we get into Super Late Model qualifying. So if you're watching on our Freeview here on Racing America's Facebook feed, 5-Star Race Car Bodies, if you're watching and you're within an hour, 2-hour driving distance of South Alabama Speedway, get your hind butt in the car right now and get over here. Bring a jacket. Bring a jacket, bring a blanket maybe, but there's nothing better than being at the racetrack. But if you can't be at the racetrack, throw on your comfortable pajamas, lounge on the couch, get you some popcorn ready. We'll have you covered all afternoon long here on Racing America.
All afternoon and into Sunday, just a great weekend here. It is a Rattler 250 weekend. And Ryan, what you're talking about right there with your Roadrunners, I totally agree with that. And what I like about that is when you have an entry-level division, let's call it what it is, an entry-level division. When you have one like that where you have that kind of parity, when you have that kind of parity where you have that many different winners, it tells you it's something you can do. Your next racer may be sitting in the grandstands on a weekend when they come and they see that and they see a different guy or a different lady. They see different winners. That's going to make them more apt to want to put one of those cars together. There's nothing worse than when you have an entry-level class like that, and I've seen it many, many times where you get an experienced driver that drops down and runs that and wins every week. Who wants to race with that? Not me, and not Joe Bob in the stands. I mean, this is a deal where that parity right there keeps that so important, and I do love those stock car classes. That's what I grew up watching. When I see those, man, that just makes my heart pump peanut butter. I am ready to go when I see those.
We talk about grassroots racing all the time, and you know, you hear it talked about on the Sirius XM NASCAR channel all the time. Oh, we need to get back to our roots. And yes, super late model racing and pro late model racing and modified racing is important, but it's not technically, in my opinion, grassroots racing. Grassroots racing is when the guy that you see at the grocery store on Friday afternoon is going to be driving a race car on Saturday night. And with those Roadrunner cars and with your street stocks and your bombers and whatever you call them around your pure stocks or sportsmen, whatever you call them at your local racetrack, that's grassroots. That's ordinary people doing extraordinary things and being really, really awesome guys, because without the Saturday night racer, there is no Sunday afternoon racer, in my opinion.
That's exactly right, and that's the beauty of that. You look at the local classes around the country, and I mean, you can look at it right here in our pits at South Alabama this weekend. The local classes, there's open trailers all through here. There's open trailers. That's the grassroots stuff, and I have this discussion with a lot of people where they say, you know, cup racing, whatever it is, it's way different than it used to be. I tell them, take a look at super late models. Take a look at pro late models. Even modifieds, somewhat, they're a lot different than what they used to be. It's just one of those things, but that's where you go back to what you're talking about right there, to the grassroots, to the guy at the grocery store, to the guy that's burning the midnight oil, starting the car up at 3 a.m., making all the neighbors mad because he's got to roll the valves or whatever the case may be. That is the weekend warrior. That's grassroots stock car racing.
And that's what we specialize here at South Alabama Speedway. We run late models one time a year at this racetrack. That's all we do. The other times we open the gates, it's local Saturday night short track racing every time. We love it. Our fans love it. It's kind of what we do. We offer this weekend, we kind of joke and say this is letting the outside world take a peek into our lives for a weekend. This is what we do. And also what we're taking a peek at right now is Evan Shotko getting back inside that 22 car. Looks like track officials have said everything's good to go. They left Shotko on the racetrack, so I'm assuming he's going to maybe get the Bryson Shaffer treatment and get a green-white checker. It worked out well for the 12. Maybe it works out pretty well for Shotko there.
Yeah, we'll take a look. If you missed that, Bryson Shaffer out on the racetrack about the time that the miss started, well, about 25, maybe 30 minutes ago, able to make one lap, was off the pace substantially. He was outside of the top 10, if I recall correctly. Comes out on a green-white checker, and he nails a 15.867, and he sits about a tenth of a second back from our provisional fast time right now. Bubba Pollard up at the top of the heap in the 9 car this weekend. He's at a 15.757. But like Ryan just mentioned, there's a lot of big hitters sitting over there in the chute that still are about to make their way back out onto the racetrack, or about to make their way out onto the racetrack for a first time to lay their lap down to set the qualifying lineup for the Grasshopper Baby Rattler 125 coming up a little bit later on here this evening at South Alabama Speedway.
Hey, Rodney, I just fired up Twitter real quick just to see what's going on, and the first thing that popped up 20 seconds ago, a tweet from Ty Majeski. Ty Majeski said, average day for us at Atlanta. Stage points in both stages. We finished P11. Solid points day headed to Coda. I'm boarded a plane and headed to Op to try and make it for Rattler 250 qualifying. And he sent a picture out the plane window on the runway. So Majeski is digging to get to Op, Alabama.
In the words of Jerry Reed from Smokey and the Bandit, he said, B. Hell, I got to go. I got to go. He is on his way. So we'll be tracking that. You do see the 22 car, or hear the 22 car, fired up here on the front straightaway. That was the car on the racetrack. And there is that Majeski Chariot right there on the Racing America 5-star race car bodies feed, waiting for its jockey to make his way here and unleash the 91 car, trying to chase another win here at the Hardee's Rattler 250. Coming up tomorrow afternoon, but a lot of business to be done tonight as they push the 22 car back, and they will get him fired off and rolling, and we will be able to resume our qualifying here with Evan Shotko for the 125 coming up this evening here at South Alabama Speedway. Wiping that windscreen clear right there of any drizzle that may have still been there. Looks like we're about to unleash this 22 car and resume our qualifying here for the Baby Rattler 125. A couple of South Alabama Speedway safety trucks out on the racetrack, still mowing up on the top side to make sure there's not any precipitation up on the top side of the racetrack. This racetrack appears to drain pretty well. I was actually over between turns 3 and 4 earlier, just kind of scoping the place out, and I see the drains and everything over there, so I don't really see any. Well, we haven't had enough precipitation for anything to be sitting. Track looks pretty good from up here.
We had a lot of precipitation at this racetrack last night from about, I'd say 4 o'clock or so, maybe a little before that, probably about 3 o'clock until, almost midnight last night. It was heavier at times, but it was steady all the way up until way past sunset last night. A lot of rain standing around here. So we were maybe worried a little bit of weepers, but the ground has so dry here the last few weeks. I believe the ground soaked everything up. So we're in pretty good shape. And the weather earlier today said there was a 10 to 15% chance of rain here this week or tonight from about 2 to 4. Well, look what time it is. It's 4 o'clock. It started kind of around 3 o'clock. So the weatherman, okay, you were right. Maybe that 10% turned into 100% for about 30 seconds, but we're all good now. Shotko's out on the racetrack. The safety crews are giving it one last once over. Once they get the go-ahead from there, Evan Shotko is going to be hammered down to qualify his 22.
Still working there at the start-finish line with the 22 car of Evan Shotko. You see the crew beginning to make their way off. Gun has fired. Sounds like it's about go time right here for Evan Shotko, the driver of car number 22. That was the machine on the racetrack. He is off and rolling, so we are set to resume qualifying once again for the 18th annual Grasshopper Baby Rattler 125 presented by Rogers Dapp Chevrolet and JR Lawnmower Service. And we pick up exactly where we left off with car number 22, Shotko, as he makes his way down into turn number 3. He'll make his way down. He will get one pace lap here. Next time by, he will be on the gas and under time.
Evan Shotko, we said, out of Coopersville, Michigan, the 2022 Battle at Berlin winner, as well as the track champion at Berlin Speedway. Benton Baker Auto Group, Jansen Services on the side of the number 22, and he is under the green flag over in turn number 2 down the back straightaway. A little bit of a slide through the middle of turns 1 and 2. We'll see how his trip through 3 and 4 goes. Left side tires right on the white line. It turns the corner pretty sharply, and Shotko will time in 9th quick. So looking for a pickup here on his final trip around.
16.006, 16.006 that time for Shotko. Let's take a look now as he makes his way out of turn 4. Once again, taking it high out of the corner. Speed shot at the line that time by Evan Shotko to the outside of the front row. 15.815. Evan Shotko. Boy, that little bit of drizzle. All of these drivers, you called it earlier, let it drizzle just for a moment and let me get on the racetrack.
You think Jeremy Miller says he's got drizzle on his windshield right now? Jeremy Miller, the number 5M out of Rockton, Illinois. We mentioned it earlier. 5-time, count it, 5-time Big 8 Series champion up in Wisconsin. He's sponsored by Car Corner, Hugin Farms, and Colony Brands. It's Jeremy Miller from Rockton, Illinois.
One of the Midwest invaders, and a good resume there that you just heard. Getting set to see what he can do under time as he takes another lap there. You see it on the speed shot on the 5-star race bodies, a Racing America feed, taking it down to the bottom of the racetrack. He will be guns a-blazing next time he comes around. He will take the green flag. 15th car to take time. Still chasing 7.757. Green flag in the air. Jeremy Miller is under time here at SAS.
Racetrack. Great entry that time for Jeremy Miller. He was second in practice earlier today to Bubba Pollard. So somewhere on the grounds, we know Bubba has his eyes glued to the racetrack, seeing what kind of lap Jeremy Miller can put down. First trip, Jeremy Miller, third quick. Bubba, look out.
15.832. 32 business picking up right here. Miller diving into turn number 3. Final time around under qualifying. Checkered flag in the air. Let's see if he can do it. At the line. Not quite enough. Wow.
Second quickest for Jeremy Miller at 15.796, less than 1/4 second off of Bubba fast time, but they keep on coming. Here's another heavy hitter, former Speedfest Pro Late Model Series winner from Hernando, Florida, the 69, the Mike Scott Plumbing Brimbro brakes of Michael Hein.
Hein up the track there a little bit in turn number 3 as he makes his way by. Let's take a look. 15.757, 15.796. Oh, so close right there for Jeremy Miller. Let's see what Michael Hein has as he comes to take that rolled up green flag. He'll really get a run going right here, and he's going to give it everything he has on lap number 1. This is going to get really good.
Always able to spot Michael Hein's race car when it's in the pit area on the racetrack. The neon flames with the chrome numbers, the American flag on top of the race car. It really is an unmissable race car, and it's pretty quick most of the time with Chris Cater, the veteran crew chief, turning the wrenches for the 69 of Hein.
Looking good right there. Here he is between corners 3 and 4. He is well at the bottom of the racetrack, a little loose out of the corner. That time by Michael Hein to the top of the charts. 15.75315.753. Ryan, brand new fast time.
Speed in it since we had a little bit of a drizzle. We've had Shaffer go well. We've had Miller go well. Shotko go well. Hein go well. He's going to go 15.659. Fast time for the 69 of Michael Hein.
And that will put Bubba Pollard to the outside of the front row. Jeremy Miller sitting third. Evan Shotko, Bryson Shaffer, your top 5 in Baby Rattler qualifying.
Keep on coming. Another guy that knows how to get it done in these pro late model cars. You said he finished third last year in a super late model at Mobile Speedway. It is from Mobile, Alabama, fifth in the 2022 Baby Rattler, sponsored by Smith Scrap Metal and River Dan. It is Dustin Smith.
Here is Smith on the racetrack, a full campaign set for this 33 team, both in the pro late models and the super late models, and they fired it off last weekend. And here he is. Keep your eye on this 33. Awful steady right here. But as you said, Ryan, business is severely picking up. We're seeing fast time after fast time. 15.659 what they're chasing now.
Out of Michael Hein, now the fastest speed everybody's looking for. Dustin Smith right down on the bottom of the racetrack. Pretty good launch off the corner. Smith was struggling for speed in practice. He was down about 14th or 15th quick all day. See if the track conditions have favored him. He times in 11th quick right now. Can he have a big jump? Remember, we saw Shotko, we saw Miller, we saw Shaffer have huge jumps on their second lap to get up inside the top 5.
Got some work to do right here. 15.958 out of turn number 4 for the final time, making his way down. That time for Dustin Smith, it'll be a 15.962. That will sit him just outside the top 10, sitting 11th, and they keep coming. Here's another big hitter coming out onto the racetrack.
Former Alabama 200 winner and two-time Show Me the Money champion at Montgomery Motor Speedway from Decula, Georgia, the Chansey Motorsports Studio 10 Wraps, number 12 of Christopher Tullis.
18th car to take time here for the 25. Tullis, much accomplished, as you just heard right there, taking it through its paces between turns number 3 and 4. There's that rolled up green flag one more time around. The next time by, he will be whipping that bad boy, diving it down into turn number 1 under time as he chases the 15.659 laid down moments ago by Michael Hein. That is your time at the top of the pylon as we qualify in 125 qualifying.
Wanting to discourage any of the other qualifiers out there, but Tullis is the fastest of those final 4 guys. Stephen Chun, Brian Reeves, Zach Dixon, all respectable, but Tullis has been inside the top 5 in every practice session, so if Hein is to dodge a bullet per se, it would be the 12 of Christopher Tullis, first time lap. It'll put him 11th quick, 15.941. Does Tullis have enough speed in that 12 to get up there and knock Hein off the provisional pole?
Let's pace him around. Here he is at the bottom of the racetrack for the final time in qualifying. Past the start-finish line, Tullis up to the 5th spot, 15.820, 15.820. He put a really good second lap together right there. Really good through corners 3 and 4. That pushed him right across the start-finish line. He is in the top 5.
Cars remain here in qualifying for the Grasshopper Late Model 125 Baby Rattler, presented by Roger Dabb Chevrolet and JR's Lawnmower Shop. On the racetrack right now from Music City, USA, Nashville, Tennessee. He was 10th a couple of weeks ago in the Alabama 200 at Montgomery Motor Speedway, sponsored by Napa Auto Parts and Dixie Diesel. It is Stephen Chun.
I like the look of this Chun car. When I saw it for the first time this weekend, I took a look at that paint scheme. Kind of looks like one of those old Crown Royal IROC liveries right there. Even kind of has that body style, the way those lines are shuffled into the paint scheme right there. But let's take a look and see what this 84 car does as we are getting towards the end of qualifying for the 125. Green flag in the air, his first time lap.
The relative of the veteran Cecil Chun, who did an 84 car across the Deep South for many, many years. Cecil's car was normally orange. Stephen actually started with an orange car, but now breaking off, making a name for himself, flying the Napa colors, and he'll time it in 17th quick at 16.277. One more lap around for Stephen Chun.
To the back straightaway he goes, easing up towards the wall. He'll dig it down into corner number 3, now out of turn number 4 for the final time. The 84 car of Stephen Chun, he will qualify at 16.078. 16.078. That second lap gets him the 16 flat as, I believe, the final car out onto the racetrack here for qualifying for the Baby Rattler 125.
Right now will be the 11R of Enterprise Alabama's Brian Reeves, a local competitor here at South Alabama Speedway. Enterprise just about 25 minutes or so down the road. Brian Reeves has been looking for some good luck in this Pro Late Model car over the past couple of years. His very first race, he took it to the Snowflake a few years ago, and he wrecked the car 3 times in one weekend. He wrecked it in practice, and then on the initial start of the race, there was a jam up on the restart. He was involved in it, and then got spun out later. Took it to Montgomery, had another wreck. So he's just trying to keep all 4 fenders on it and find some luck and some experience in this 11 for Brian Reeves.
And there is that grassroots racer mentality you were talking about earlier, Ryan. Keeps coming back for more. Just keeps fixing it. Just keeps coming back. Now the Ford Mustang under time as he goes into turn number 1. His first lap here as he qualifies for the Baby Rattler 125 here at South Alabama Speedway.
Brian Reeves, want to make sure we talk about the guys that helped Brian Reeves get it done. Port City Race Cars, MRE Racing, T-Nail Farms, Lee Newton Music, and Southern Truck Outfitters on the side of that number 11. And Brian Reeves, 20th quick at 16.999. 16.999 for Brian Reeves on his first lap.
Let's take a look as the local dives into turn number 3, trying to better that time. It's a 9.99, 16.99. Here's the checkered flag for his final lap. A little better, 16.844, 16.844. That will keep him 20th on the provisional starting grid. And it looks like I miscounted. 1 car still to qualify.
The final driver to attempt to time in for tonight's Pro Late Model 125, the 67D of Zach Dixon. Expo Homes providing the sponsorship on that car. He has 1 top 10 finish. He came at Montgomery Motor Speedway a few years back. Still grassroots mentality, clawing away. He hails from the state of Georgia. That's the 67 of Zach Dixon.
Dixon working his way around the rolled up green flag right here, so he will have 1 more dead lap as he'll work to get that momentum. And that's the thing with these Pro Late Models. You talk to all of these drivers, you really hear it from the guys in the Super Late Models that venture over to the Pro Late Model. These Pro Late Models all about the momentum. Not near the horsepower that you're going to get in one of these Supers. You get the momentum where you want it. You keep that momentum going. That's what's going to enable you to lay down some fast laps. Green flag in the air, and Dixon is underway for his first lap in qualifying here for the Baby Rattler 125 as he dives down into turn number 3.
Here this time for Zach Dixon, been pretty good, and by George, I'd say he's good. 4th quick for Zach Dixon. Can he go get Michael Hein?
I'll tell you what, lap 2 has been the one for these big hitters. Here he goes diving down into turn number 3, trying to better that 4th starting position. Checkered flag in the air. Here is Dixon as he makes his way down. 15.871, 15.871. Nice drive to start on the outside of row number 2.
Number 2 for Dixon, but inside of row number 1 for Michael Hein. And the 69 car will be Hein leading the field of green with Bubba Pollard alongside. The the Illinois Invader Jeremy Miller will go 3rd outside of row number 2. We just saw him on the racetrack. Zach Dixon rounding out the top 5. The Coopersville, Michigan native is Evan Shotko.
Stick around, more coming up. You will have qualifying for the 47th annual Hardee's Rattler 250. Some of the best super late models in the country getting set to go with the SRL National Series. That qualifying is coming up next.
Welcome to the new home for race fans, Racing America. Live short track racing. Exclusive team content.
I bet, that's what they all say. Any NASCAR fan is really a short track fan at heart.
Behind the scenes access. From grassroots to NASCAR, join us at the home for race fans everywhere. Racing America, it's in our DNA.
Women owned and manufactured in South Carolina, PFC Brakes is the #1 choice for motorsports, fleets, auto manufacturers, and first responders. PFC delivers the best brakes on the market, guaranteed to outlast and outperform the competition. If you're looking to win at the track or reduce downtime for your fleet, or just need more stopping power when towing your boat or trailer, look no further than PFC Brakes. Visit us at pfcbrakes.com to find your local PFC Brakes distributor today. PFC Brakes are bred to win, from the track to the job site. No compromises.
It's gotta be the wildest ride in the world. not had anything like that before. The guys that run with me are coming to run, and we are all very thankful for that.
Oh my God!
You can watch it all only on Racing America.
Hey, I'm Dylan Hart Jr. You're watching Racing America.
Back at South Alabama Speedway for the 47th annual Hardee's Rattler 250 weekend. Super late models of the SRL National Series being staged on pit road. They are sitting all across pit road, now moving them to the chute right there at the exit of turn number 2. That is where they will launch out onto the racetrack for single car qualifying. And again, that format that we talked about during the Pro Late models, it'll be 3 dead laps for the cold that we're dealing with this weekend here at South Alabama Speedway. Then they'll come to green for 2 timed laps to set the starting lineup for the big 47th annual Hardee's Rattler 250 coming up tomorrow here on the 410 Mile South Alabama Speedway. Star-studded field that you were about to watch on the Freeview on Racing America with the 5-Star Bodies preview. Rattler 250 qualifying coming up. The cars and stars of the SRL National Tour set to take to South Alabama Speedway.
While we have a little time here as we're getting ready for super late model qualifying, run you quickly through our qualifying results from our Pro Late Model session. We already mentioned the top 5. We'll go quickly through them. On the provisional pole is Michael Hein in that 69 with a lap of 15.659. He was right at a 1/10 of a second quicker than Bubba Pollard, who went 15.757 to go second. Jeremy Miller is third. Zach Dixon fourth. Evan Shotko rounds out the top 5, 6 through 10. Will be Christopher Tullis, Bryson Shaffer, Dylan Fetcho in 8th, JoJo Wilkinson 9th, and Colin Allman in 10th. Gavin Graham will qualifying in 11th. Kale Gale 12th. Dustin Smith was 13th. Jim Wall 14th. Stephen Chun 15th. 16th Steve Dorr. Jeff Dawkins 17th. Johnny Armendia was 18th. 19th, Glenn Styers. Elliott Massey was 20th, and rounding out the field in 21st was Brian Reeves.
A lot of storylines in that Baby Rattler 125 qualifying. If you happen to miss that, if you're checking in just now on Racing America, you had Bubba Pollard at the top of the pylon for the longest time. He was out early, and he set that time, and he sat there. Couple of sprinkle delays, we'll call them, because it wasn't really a rain delay. And then, so to speak, the bottom fell out. That's when you started seeing those fast times, and Michael Hein comes out and just blisters this racetrack to sit on the pole for the Baby Rattler 125. Can only imagine what we're about to witness here in qualifying for the Rattler 250.
Rattler 250 qualifying, and you're going to see some speed out first. Jet Noland in that 50 car was supposed to go out midway during the session. However, he missed roll call this morning during the drivers' meetings, and he's going to go first. And in fact, he's going out onto the racetrack right now. Rodney, we're about to set the starting lineup for tomorrow's 47th Hardee's Rattler 250 right now. You see him on the racetrack. We'll go ahead from Groveland, Florida, in the Cohen Law Group, Noland Roofing, Cypress Ridge. Number 50 is the 2020 Red Eye Pro Late Model 100 winner down at New Smyrna Speedway. It is Jet Noland.
Noland on the racetrack. A reminder once again, 3 dead laps, 3 hot laps, 3 warm-up laps, whatever you want to call them. Getting some heat into these American Racer tires. Really cool temperatures. Now a little bit of drizzle earlier, so the greenness of the racetrack that wasn't really there anyway has now made itself away from the racetrack, but that really didn't seem to affect Michael Hein and a lot of those pro late model drivers as they made their way out. Rolled up green flag as you see the speed shot right there on Racing America. Getting set to go. Jet Noland, first car for time for the 47th annual Hardee's Rattler 125. Of course, it is tomorrow, 2 o'clock right here at South Alabama Speedway.
Green flag in the air for Jet Noland. We'll see what kind of speed that number 50 has in it. First 5 cars that will go out and take time will be Jet Noland, Nicholas Noggle, Dusty Williams, Brayton Laster, and Hunter Wright. Off of turn number 4 to the white flag. First time lap for Noland will be 15.468. 15.468 for the 50 of Noland. One more time around.
Here's Noland taking it nose first into corner number 3. Checkered flag coming out right now as that wind beginning to pick up once again. Great drive out of the corner. He will clock in about a 10th quicker. 15.396. 15396. Lap number 2. The fast time for the driver of car number 50, Jet Noland.
Talked about earlier how we got guys coming from the West Coast and the Midwest and the Northeast to all make this a national event. Well, we forgot. It's an international event, Rodney. As the car of the racetrack right now, Nicholas Noland calls Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, Canada, his hometown, sponsored by Bryson Construction. He won the 2021 Futchbacker 100 up in Anderson, Indiana. Driving the number 08 is Nicholas Noggle.
Another Canadian that is saying, oh, you Southerners, if you think this is cold, if you think this is cold, come home with me and you'll get to see what cold is. This is nothing, my friends. The 08 car out on the racetrack pacing. This is the second car to take time for the Rattler 250. Jet Noland, the first car out, lays down a pretty solid lap as the green flag waves over the Canadian. It's Noggle into turn number 1.
08 machine right down to the bottom of the racetrack, the preferred line, especially in qualifying. You'll see some drivers venture up to the outside. Bubba Pollard comes to mind, loves the outside at this racetrack. But in qualifying, the fast way is on right around the bottom. Noggle will go second quick, 15.545. Most everybody has had better speed on their second lap. I would assume that Noggle will continue that trend and try to knock Noland off the top spot.
Let's take a look right here. Here's Noggle out of corner number 4. He'll flash by the start-finish line. 15.509, 15509, so a little bit, but still a couple of tenths off from Jet Noland. Early on in qualifying right now, very early on, and lots of cars to qualify, lots of cars and stars of the SRL National Series. You're going to hear a lot of familiar names in this grid that are getting set to run, and one on his way right now.
Play will be Ty Majeski. We'll keep you updated of when he might arrive here, hopefully in time to qualify that number 91. And also a familiar name for fans that have been watching racing in the Deep South for quite a few years. A veteran of the short track scene. Look at that dirt track style exit at turn number 4. A veteran of the short track racing world from Guyton, Georgia. It's Dusty Williams in the Movement Mortgage number 28D out of Guyton, Georgia. 5th in the 2021 Winchester 400, but a veteran of 20-plus years in the Deep South.
A little bit of a wiggle that time by as well out of corner number 4, but able to gather it in nicely and takes the green flag onto the back straightaway we go. It is Williams in the 28 up to the top of the speedway. He'll take it down to the bottom as well as he makes his way around. The white flag will wave over the 28D for the first time, and he will clock it in at a 15.617, 15617. He sits third. Let's take a look and see what he does on lap 2. Can he pick that up?
Down into turn number 3, right to the bottom of the racetrack, nice and steady. Off of turn number 4, best exit off 4 he's had on any of his laps, but he will stay third with a 15.586. So second lap continues to be quicker, just not quick enough to get Jet Noland off the pole. And on the racetrack now, the pizza man, Brayton Laster.
And once again, we've talked about the diversity of this field when it comes to geographical location. You think of the races down here in the Deep South, and you think a bunch of guys from Florida, a bunch of guys from Alabama, maybe sprinkle in some Mississippi, maybe sprinkle in some Texas. Here's one of the guys from the Midwest representing Indiana right here as the Lucky 13 makes his way out, warming those American racers up, getting set to go under time.
After from Greenwood, Indiana, the stop, drop, and roll, Edco Circle City Raceway, number 13. He actually raced on the high banks of Daytona a few weeks ago in the ARCA Menard Series event. Placed 27th in that one. This is his very first start in a super late model on a short track. The only pavement track he'd ever driven before here was the big track at Daytona a few weeks ago.
No big difference. Same concept. Put it to the floor and just go. Of course, here you got to lift every now and then, or you better lift, or otherwise you're going out in the ravine over there. So let's take a look right here and see what Laster does as he makes his way around the white flag from the birdcage. Final time around the 0.4 of a mile oval. Laster will clock in at a 15.960, 15960, chasing that 15.396 laid down by Jet Noland. First car out as the 13 car dives into turn number 3 for lap number 2.
Laster said on Twitter the other day, this might be the most fun he's ever had in a race car. He just wish he had a little bit more speed, and he'll probably share those as he's a little slower on lap number 2. So he'll stay with a 15.960, fourth out of 4 right now. As another driver, We've qualified 5 guys that hadn't been from the same state yet. We'll continue that trend here. Hunter Wright from Gladeville, Tennessee, in the Appalachian and Installation Supply Pinnacle Day Racing Products, number 29. He has 2 top 5s at the Nashville Fairgrounds last season, looking to make a statement in the SRL National Tour this year. And the number 29 is Hunter Wright.
Tennessee driver as well this week, announced as one of the semifinalists in the Kowicki Driver Development Program. So this young shoe in the 29 out of Tennessee making his way around as he gets set. Next time by, that green flag will come from the flag stand, and he will chase the 15.396 laid down by Jet Noland as that green flag waves in the air, powering out of turn number 4 into turn number 1. Here's Hunter Wright under time.
To the bottom of the racetrack, or tried to get to the bottom of the racetrack as much. He's about a half lane up off the bottom through turns 1 and 2. Same thing, same story down in turn 3 and 4, but he hooked the bottom of 4 really, really well, and he will go 4th quick at a 15.701. 15.701 4th quick. He has one more lap for the 29er Wright.
He laid that left front under the white line coming out of turn 4 that last time by. Here he is on the white line making his way around. Checkered flag in the air this time by Hunter Wright. He will qualify at a 15.657, 15657, 4th on the grid for Hunter Wright.
He had trouble getting the power down. It's not like he was spinning the tires up off of turn number 4, so maybe a little bit too loose. And now a guy on the racetrack that needs no introduction anywhere he goes. A member of one of the greatest racing families that America has ever produced. Of course, we're talking about the number 5S of DeForest, Wisconsin's Johnny Sauter. Sponsored by Southern Power Sports and Panhandle Aggregate. He was the 2016 NASCAR Truck Series champion. He also has big late model wins up in the Midwest at Oktoberfest and the Dick Trickle 99. Johnny Sauter making a trip south to run the Rattler for that Richie Waters number 5.
This 5S car has been awful racy throughout the practice sessions this weekend. Here he is on the back straightaway, and once again, just a great scene when you see these drivers coming back to the roots, coming back to short track racing. Guys like Sauter that come run these major short track stock car races around the country. He is under green flag for the first time. To the back straightaway he goes. He'll put it right in the middle of the speedway and get set for a nice entry into turn number 3. Down to the bottom. Let's watch him out of corner number 4. This is pivotal. Down at the bottom of the white line. Up and past the flag stand. Johnny Sauter will clock it in at a 15.744.
That goes 5th out of 6 right now. The second lap has been the fastest for most everybody that's taken time between pro and super late model competition. Sauter comes under the checkered flag and will stay just 5th quick, 15.735, so a hair's breadth quicker. Probably not the lap Johnny Sauter was looking for.
No, absolutely not. A little bit of trouble right there coming out of 4. Maybe hooking it a little bit there, as you mentioned earlier, coming out of turn number 4. But yeah, he's going to be disappointed in that one. It's still Jet Noland, 15.396. Penalized to have to qualify first, but so far so good. The penalty seems to be working for him okay at this point.
Went out first and just threw down a lap and said, here, boys, come try to get it. And so far, nobody's been able to. On the speedway right now, trying to knock off Jet Noland is another Florida driver. Our first repeat place here. A Florida driver from Lecanto, Florida. The 08 is Tony Elrod, sponsored by ROW Maintenance, ROW Pressure Washing, and Clear Fusion Auto. And during my research, I tried to find a little bit of information about everybody and had trouble finding some stuff on Tony Elrod. Actually sent a quick text to my good friend and the stat boy of Racing America, Elgin Traylor, and even Elgin was having some problems finding some stats. He said, I believe that he made most of his career as a drag racer. Well, I told Elgin, well, I hope he remembers at the end of these straightaways he needs to hook it to the left. But Tony Elrod giving super late model racing a try this year, and we're glad he's here.
Here's Elrod taking the white flag, first time by, 15.942. That has him sixth, 15942. So the ex-drag racer to the back straightaway, you know he just wants to keep it on the floor right there, but you got to make it turn. You got to bring it around. Here he comes. Checkered flag for the second lap there for Elrod, 15.801, 15801. He sits sixth. Everyone chasing 15.396. That is the time for Jet Noland, sitting at the top of the provisional grid. Elrod's going to get him some practice in right here. He said, you know, I in that last practice session, I needed just a couple more laps. There's one thing I need to do, and I hope he figured it out right there.
Bobby say, I just want to go fast.
Yeah.
So I think Tony Elrod just wanted to go fast for a little bit longer here. Next car out on the racetrack, you see getting prepared, last-minute adjustments, will be the 51 of Jake Finch. We'll give you the rundown here in just a second.
Finch off and rolling there on the back straightaway, scuffing those tires in just a little bit. Again, three dead laps, 3 hot laps, 3 warm-up laps. You call it what you want. It's 3 of them to get some heat in those American Racer tires. As I mentioned earlier, started in the mid-30s this morning after just a soaker last evening here at South Alabama Speedway. Still chilly, still windy, but we are off and rolling as he sees the 2 sticks in the air right there, getting set. Next time he'll get the rolled up green flag and get ready to roll to set the time for the Rattler 250 here for the 51F of Jake Finch.
Jake Finch, sponsored by Phoenix Construction, as all of James Finch's cars have been for the last, 30 years or so, whether it be NASCAR or short tracks or whatever. James Finch, the owner of this car, from Lynn Haven, Florida. Jake was the 2021 Outlaw Late Model Champion out at Five Flag Speedway. Chase Elliott raced this car a couple of years ago in the Snowball Derby to get it prepped for Jake's super late model transition, and I believe it's pretty well. It's pretty easy to have the defending Cup Series champion work the kinks out of your race car for you, right?
That's a good dude to shake it down right there for you. First time by Finch, and he will go to second on the pylon. 15.432, 15432 for Jake Finch. Onto the back straightaway he goes. He needs to get about a 10th out of this one. 15.396 is what he's chasing, Ryan. Here's the checkered flag for Jake Finch, and he will go to the top of the heat. 15.369 over a 396. Take that one with you.
Chase Elliott shook down the race car a few years ago. You're now a quasi-teammate of Jake Finch. Oh, just some guy named Bubba Pollard. So if you're going to surround yourself with some guys to surround your race car with, do that, and you'll probably be pretty fast. Jake Finch adapting to super late model competition pretty well, sitting on top of the board provisional pole. Right now, we saw him qualify as pro late model a little bit earlier. It's the 67 of Plant City, Florida's Colin Allman, sponsored by Lansky Law, GCF Race Car Engineering, and CFA Motorsports. Again, third in the 2021 Snowflake at Pensacola, and he also timed his pro late model in just a few minutes ago in 10th. Can he better it in the Super?
Allman shaking it down. That's a phrase we'll be using all afternoon here, talking about the Chase Elliott and such. But yes, very good mentors right there. I was told as a youngster, hang around people that will help you. Chase Elliott and Bubba Pollard are definitely guys that I wish I would have hung around with when I was racing. Here we go to the back straightaway. First lap under green for the 67 of Colin Allman. Allman down to the bottom of the racetrack. Everybody doing that right there. Good exit out of turn number 4. White flag waves, and Allman will go to 5th. 15.608, 15608. Good drive off of turn number 2. He'll go nose first into turn 3. See if he can better that 608.
A race car go fast in South Florida. It's Steve Dorr who's turning the wrenches with Colin Allman, and he'll go in 4th quick at a 15.554 for Colin Allman.
Tell you, it's a who's who here in the SRL National Weekend for the 47th Annual Hardee's Rattler 250. Here's another one of the guys. We talk about the geographical tendencies of this race. Now we're going all the way to the left coast, but certainly no stranger to racing in the south is this driver of the car number 44.
Jeremy Doss from Upper Lake, California. Alliance Rental Solutions, Shell Roofing Solutions on the 44D, the 2018 SRL Southwest champ, along with a two-time Pacific Coast Challenge champion. Oh, and two Montana 200 wins to go along with it. The king of the West Coast. Some people say it's Derek Thorne. Some people say it's Jeremy Doss.
Absolutely. That's the two best ones right there. And they do. They have really great racing resumes. Let's see what he can do here at South Alabama Speedway as he qualifies for the 47th Annual Hardee's Rattler 250. To the back straightaway he goes. Let's watch him down the back straightaway right in the center of the speedway. Good entry into turn number 3. Keeps it down at the bottom. Out of turn number 4. There's that white flag. You see the speed shot right there on Racing America. And Doss will put it third, 15.413, 15413 for Jeremy Doss.
Has the speed in that number 44. He's coming off a runner-up finish at Pensacola just 1 week ago. Hooks the bottom of turn 4 and goes to the top of the board for Jeremy Doss. 15.363 for the 44 of Jeremy Doss.
A 3.63 over a 3.69. How about that? Jeremy Doss there from California in the 44D. He's at the top, but we just keep rolling them out. We just keep rolling out the stars of the SRL National Tour. Here's another one. Resumes. That's the word that I keep going back to because these guys have such great resumes. And here is another one, my friend.
Of Michael Atwell, Universal Transmissions, Drake Ready Mix, and Castle Services, number 55 from Naples, Florida. He's a two-time Billy Bigley Memorial winner, along with 2 Winterfest wins down in Florida. He's on the racetrack now, but Rodney, my phone just buzzed. I look down. It's Drew, Ty Majeski's PR guy, just shot me a text. They're landing right now. It's 13 minutes in their GPS from the airport to the racetrack. I don't know if Ty's going to get here.
Trying to look over in turn 1. His car is sitting over there. I think there's about 4 in front of him. There's a white flag for Michael Atwell as he will check in. He qualifies or sits 6th, 15.554. So this is where, if you're a Ty Majeski fan, this is where you need a little drizzle right now. This is where you need the drizzle. 13 minutes. They'll probably make it in 7. Here's the checkered flag. Final time around for Michael Atwell. He will stay 5th at a 15.525, 15525, chasing 15.363 laid down moments ago by Jeremy Doss.
Pass Michael from Naples, Florida to another one. Here comes Michael Goddard out on the racetrack in the number 37, National Roofing, 4M Services, FLF Race Cars. He's got 2 top 5s in his back pocket at the Billy Bigley Memorial, looking for a top 5 or maybe even a win here at the 47th Annual Rattler 250. From Naples, Florida, it's Michael Goddard.
Goddard working that 37 car through its paces here as he makes his way around. This will be his final warm-up lap. Next time by, it's going to be heel to the steel for the driver of car number 37 as he will set his time for the Rattler 250 coming up tomorrow afternoon here at South Alabama Speedway. Out of corner number 4, here he comes. Green flag is in the air, and Michael Goddard is under time.
Turns 1 and 2. Pretty good exit off of turn number 2 for Michael Goddard. Pretty decent in practice all week. Consistent around 6th to 10th. Maybe even down to 12th on a couple of runs. White flag in the air. Goddard will time in on his first lap. It's a good one. How about third quick for Michael Goddard? 15.377. A little bit more speed, and he's going to knock Doss off the front row.
Let's take a look at that second lap. Second laps have been better. There's the checkered flag as he flashes by. And it will be not quite enough. 15.384, 15384, sitting Goddard third. You've got a 15.363, 369, 384, and 396 in your top 4 spots.
Another driver that calls California home is out on the racetrack right now. The number 98 of the massless drilling Rocha's Valley Enterprises, Trimsica Racing. number 98 of Blaine Rocha from Oakdale, California. 2 wins on the SRL Tour. To his credit, he won it up at Kern County, and he won at the famous Las Vegas Motor Speedway Bull Ring in his career. Looking for a win at the Rattlers, the 98 of Blaine Rocha.
And Rocha as well, another driver that we have watched start to migrate to the south every now and then. So, again, the diversity. We're watching drivers from all across the country compete in different spots of the country, which is only great for super late model racing. There's the green flag in the air. This is lap number 1 as Rocha pounds it down into turn number 1 for lap number 1.
Is hard on the throttle. You know who else is hard on the throttle? Just got another text from Drew from Ty Majeski's PR team. They're 10 minutes out. They're hammered down from the airport. Will they get here in enough time? He even has hashtagged it Majeski Watch.
I love it. Rocha, lap number 1. He will clock in 15.415, 15415. That has him 5th out of turn 4. Past the start-finish line, Rocha, 15.459, so a tick quicker, 15459. Man, let's watch that hashtag Majeski.
One eye on my phone here with the Majeski updates, and I'll keep one eye on the racetrack for a guy that hails from Meadow, Florida. It's the 17N of Nick Neary, sponsored by Martin Jewelers and DeVito's Auto Repair and Octane Visual. 2 wins in the SCCA Formula Lights division. That's the American version of F3. It was on the Formula 1 fast track at one point, now called Super Late Models home for Nick Neary.
Neary, some top 3 finishes in the Full Throttle 100 over at Citrus County. And here he is getting ready to lay down his qualifying lap. So a little bit of smoke there, it looked like, out of the right rear. He may have just spun the tire right there coming out of the turn.
He'd clipped the apron down in the middle of turn 1 and 2. There's a little bit of a drop-off from the racing surface to the concrete apron. That may be the reason for the smoke. And, yeah, Neary just now on his green flag lap probably hurt his speed getting up to speed on that lap. So we'll keep an eye as Neary works it into turn 3 and 4 this time, coming to get the white flag.
Here's Neary that first time by as he does take the white flag for Neary. It's a 15.920, 15.920. Now he has her all wound up. We'll take it to the back straightaway, dive down into turn number 3. Let's see if he'll better the second lap as he makes his way around to the checkered flag. And Neary will qualify in at a 15.914, 15914, lap number 2 for Nick Neary.
And there was definitely smoke pouring off that left front. I'm sure it had to do with that incident down in the middle of turns 1 and 2 for the 17 of Nick Neary. And out on the racetrack right now, a driver that has taken the racing world down here in the Gulf Coast by storm in the past couple of years. The 28W of Timothy Watson, sponsored by MTS Surveying from Panama City, Florida. He is your 2022 Five Flag Speedway Outlaw Late Model Champion and has really come up to speed quickly in Super Late Model competition.
He certainly has. He has jumped behind these monstrous machines and taken to them very nicely. You've watched a lot of impressive runs out of this young driver in car number 28W, Timothy Watson there. As Ryan mentioned, out of Panama City, Florida, he gets set as he takes it through turns 3 and 4. That green flag is waving up in the air, and he is under time as he makes his way down into turn number 1. Dives it down, riding the white line through corners number 1 and 2. He'll hit the back straightaway, go to the middle of the racetrack, and set himself up for a nice entry into turn number 3. Down to the bottom once again. Here he comes. White flag in the air one more time around. 0.4 of a mile for Timothy Watson as he will come all the way up to the 8th spot. 15.527, 15527. Timothy Watson trying to better that first lap here on lap number 2. Down to the bottom of the racetrack. Good entry right there. Let's watch the exit. Here he comes to the start-finish line, and Watson will clock it in at a 15.531, 15531. He will sit 8th on the grid. Everyone still chasing Jeremy Doss at 15.363.
Racetrack now from Middleton, Idaho. Zach Telford, the Gibson Performance Diesel Project Filter, number 17T, the 2022 Magic Valley 150 winner over in his home state of Idaho, making the cross-country trek to come try to back him a rattlesnake. Do they have rattlesnakes in Idaho, Rodney?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to avoid the one here. Since I was asked about the rattlesnake and coming to the Rattler, I said, do I have to go near that thing? Here we go, the 17 out on the racetrack. This is Zach Telford. Telford last year over at our track at Mobile International Speedway. A nice 8th place finish in the SRL National Davidson Electric 125. Also the 2022 Southwest Tour Rookie of the Year. Green flag in the air. And we are under time with Zach Telford here at SAS.
Number 2 down the back straightaway. You see that checkered flag wall here at South Alabama Speedway? Well, it used to not be here. I've seen a lot of passes made off of turn number 2 in the grass in my time here, but wall there to protect those haulers on the back straightaway as Telford was eyed in at a 16:011 on his first time lap. Second lap has been quicker, but he's going to need a lot more speed if he wants to get up there and challenge Doss.
A lot of work to do right there for Telford. He does pick it up substantially to a 15.832, so a nice rebound. 15.832, good enough for 14th as we get set to roll. Still Jeremy Doss is who they're chasing as we get another Floridian making his way out onto the racetrack to set time for the Rattler 250.
One of the best in South Florida is the one of Steve Dorr, the proprietor of Race Car Engineering and FLF Race Cars. We mentioned it earlier, a 2011 winner of one of the biggest races in America, the Redbud 400. He also is a former winner of the Florida Winterfest, calls Lakeland, Florida home. A very identifiable machine on the racetrack. You don't see too many blue and green race cars out there, but Steve Dorr knows how to build them, knows how to prepare them, and knows how to drive them.
That is very hard to do, to be able to do the trifecta of all of that. You get a lot of guys that are either good at 1 or 2, usually 2, but when you get somebody that can do all 3, like this driver, Steve Dorr, that is very hard to find, and he is under time here for lap number 1 as he muscles down into turn number 1, getting set to head to the back straightaway. First lap under time for Steve Dorr.
As you mentioned, very identifiable green and blue number 1 Race Car Engineering machine of Steve Dorr. First time under the green, go 12th quick at 15.666. 15.666 for Steve Dorr. One more trip around South Alabama Speedway. See if he can get up there inside the top 10.
Here he comes out of turn number 4 for the final time here in his qualifying effort, and Dorr picks it up nicely all the way up to 6th. 15.486, 15.486. Steve Dorr with a nice jump, currently sitting 6th on the provisional grid as we continue to roll, and the contenders keep coming. And now representing Massachusetts, so another state represented well, or Maine.
Seekonk, Massachusetts, home of the Concrete Palace, a famous racetrack up there as well, the Seekonk Speedway. But he's here at South Alabama Speedway. This also a famous last name, but not related to the famous Reggie Rosario from up in the Northeast. This is Giovanni Rosario, driving the number 22 First Auto Group Toyota Racing Development, RaceChoice.com, Wilson Motorsports, number 22 of Gio Rosario. He is the 2022 Showing the Money Pro Late Model Champion at Montgomery Motor Speedway.
Some of the best race cars that you're going to find in the country. These are Donnie Wilson race cars. Let's take a look right here and see what Gio Rosario will lay down on lap number 1 as he dives into turn number 1. A little higher there on the entry. Let's see how he works it off of turn number 2. To the back straightaway he goes. He'll take it into turn number 3. About to complete lap number 1. White flag in the air this time around. Gio Rosario in the 22R. The time to the top of the heap. 15.350. 15.350. Gio Rosario on lap number 1 to the top.
All I can say for Gio Rosario, let's see if he can make it even faster. 15.346, a hair's breadth faster. Rosario says, here you go, boys. Come chase this one. And now next on the racetrack is the teammate to Giovanni Rosario. The number 22 car is going to be JBL Audio and Wilson Motorsports, all the way from Redwood City, California. A 2-time ARCA West Series champion, 2-time ARCA National winner is the young man, Jesse Love.
A little bit of a homecoming here for Jesse Love. Started racing in the SRL Southwest Series back in 2019. And here he is at South Alabama Speedway for the Rattler 250 here with the SRL National Super Late Model Series as he brings it by. In the good-looking car number 20 there for Wilson Motorsports. He's going to have to lay down some nice tracks right here to chase down what we just saw, the 15.346 by his teammate. So making his way out of turn 4, this will be the first lap under time as the green flag waves over the 20 car of Jesse Love.
Under the green flag right now. Just got another text from my buddy Drew for Ty Majeski. They just turned off the highway. They're about 3 minutes away. Ty Majeski may get here.
To the top, Jesse Love. Wilson Motorsports back-to-back. They are vying for that top spot. 15.337, 15337 for Jesse Love. Let's watch lap number 2 for car number 20. The checkered flag waves over Love, and it's a tick slower, if you want to call that slower. 15.341 for Jesse Love in car number 20.
Wilson Motorsports just said, all right, enough with everything else that's being talked about. We're going to go out and lay down 2 fast laps, so you got to chase us. One guy that doesn't want to chase it and doesn't do a lot of chasing but does a lot of leading at South Alabama Speedway is on the racetrack right now. The very famous number 112, the I Heart Mac and Cheese, and who doesn't? The I Heart Mac and Cheese Black Sheep Woodlands Grand American Race Cars number 112. He's won 2 Derbies, 2 Rattlers, 3 Snowflakes, 5 Alabama 200s. It's Augie Grill. That's all you can say. He's the man.
It's guys like this, all you have to say is Augie. Don't even have to say Grill. Augie out on the racetrack right here as he will try to chase down those Wilson Motorsports cars. They sit on the front row. Wilson Motorsports not concerned about Majeski at the moment. Green flag in the air. Here's Augie under time as he works lap number 1 into corner number 1.
Beautiful race car. It always is, but you put the yellow with the mac and cheese with the reflective chrome red numbers. Augie Grill always puts a beautiful race car. He's another one of those guys that knows how to drive them and build them and everything else. And look, as I see off to my left, I believe, as Augie Grill makes his way, we have a camera, if we can get it there. I see a driver that has entered the racetrack, and I believe his name is Ty Majeski.
Absolutely. How about that? What a story. The 15.661 is lap number 1. Second lap, 15.557. But how about that for South Alabama Speedway? You've got 2-time Rattler winner on the racetrack in Augie Grill. Here comes Ty Majeski on a golf cart. It doesn't get any better than that, friends.
Ty Majeski is here. Ty Majeski is here, race fans. You see on your 5-star race car bodies, Racing America Facebook feed right there from Ty Majeski. I was told that Ty Majeski will get the slowest of his 2 qualifying laps due to missing his spot in the order. But Majeski will get a chance to qualify. Hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up with him a little bit after qualifying. But on the racetrack right now is Austin Nason, and he's been fast all week in practice here.
Austin Nason, indeed. Another one of these guys making his way here. You'll keep your eye on this guy. Finished 3rd last year, led 52 laps in 2022. Oh, so close. He's got 2 wins in the short track nationals over at Rockford. He's an ARCA Midwest Tour runner-up twice, 4-time winner, 2018 Super Late Model Triple Crown Series champion. Very accomplished Austin Nason. I got to say, back to Majeski, the only thing that would have made that better if he'd have done a hood slide like Bo Duke. That'd have been perfect.
Nason, he'll go 7th quick with a 15.456. Nason Landscaping, Petrie Car Corner, and Haas Buildings for Austin Nason on the side of that car. He's from Roscoe, Illinois, looking for a little bit more speed right there. Not going to find it, or he's a smidge quicker, but doesn't jump up any positions.
He will stay 7th. So your fast time, Jesse Love laying down a blistering 15.341, 15341. And we watch this guy in this livery do something really cool in the Pro Late models, vaulting to the top of the heap. Let's take a look and see if he can go 2 for 2 on the afternoon as he brings his Super Late model out onto the racetrack. Here comes a 69 car out of Hernando, Florida. It's Michael Hein.
Pro Late model is sponsored by Mike Scott Plumbing along with Brembo Brakes, Strange Oval, and Sunoco. Your 2022 Speed Fest Pro Late model winner. I guess you can go ahead and say 2023 Baby Rattler pole sitter for the 69 of Michael Hein. He's hammered down into turns number 1 and 2.
He's going to have a lot of work to do. Those Wilson Motorsports cars have laid down some pretty good laps, but we have a very tight top 6 right now. Jet Noland still holding on to the 6th spot after qualifying first. Here's a green flag in the air, and Michael Hein is under time as he takes it into turn number 1, about a groove and a half, or about a half a groove higher. Now to the back straightaway he goes. Let's see, setting himself up for the entry right here in turns 3 and 4, bringing it around. He'll be greeted by the white flag this time by. Here's Michael Hein, and Hein will qualify at, if I can find him, I lost him on my screen here.
15th.
There we go, 15th. 15.557, 15557. Hein out of turn number 4, and that time better, 15.525, 15525, lap number 2 for Michael Hein.
To the racetrack now, the number 33 Smith scrap metal machine from Dustin Smith from Mobile, Alabama. 5th in the 2002 Baby Rattler Pro Late Model race a year ago. He also was the star of the show a few years ago in the Derby Last Chance race, driving from the end of the field of the Last Chance race to win it, passing Rich Bickle and passing Harrison Burton, I believe. So he was the star of the show. I'm sure he wished he was for the Derby and not the Last Chance race, but Dustin Smith can get up on the wheel with the best of them from Mobile, Alabama.
That driver indeed out of Mobile, Alabama, dubbed the local hero by another competitor earlier this year. So the local hero out on the racetrack as he gets set to go. Green flag in the air here for the 33 of Dustin Smith. If you're just joining us on the FreeCast on your 5-Star Racing Bodies Racing America FreeCast, Ty Majeski is on property. Came in on a golf cart moments ago, and he will qualify for the Rattler 250. Lap number 1 for Dustin Smith as he qualifies in. Good run there for Smith, 15.551.
For the 14th position for Dustin Smith. He's got one more lap at speed right down the bottom of the racetrack. Good exit off turn number 4 for Smith, and he'll actually jump up to the 11th spot, solidly up inside the top 15 for Dustin Smith.
15.512, 15512 for the driver out of Mobile, Alabama, as we continue to roll on. And now being represented, South Boston, Virginia, onto the racetrack. Here comes the 24 car of Colin Garrett. Garrett behind the wheel of the 24.
Veteran project, Team Unbroken and Racing for Heroes, helping foot the bill for Colin Garrett, who got down on the apron in the middle of turns 3 and 4. We talked about the SCCA experience earlier for Nicholas Noggle. Well, how about for Colin Garrett? He's a 2022 TC America champion with the Skip Barber Road Racing Academy.
All different variations right here. Doesn't matter what you do. You're a road course racer, you're a dirt track racer, you're a pavement racer, heck, even a motocross racer. You are a racer. That's what it's all about, and we have some of the best here this weekend with the SRL National Series as the green flag waves over the 24 car.
Continue on. We talked about him a little bit earlier, but Glenn Styers from Oswego, Ontario, actually was running the Chili Bowl just a few weeks ago for dirt midget racing. So you get a little bit of the best here in the SRL National Tour, no matter what discipline.
Here's Garrett, 15.960, 15960 that time around for car number 24 out of South Boston, Virginia. Again, geography lesson this weekend as we work with the SRL Tour. Past the start-finish line at that time by 15.513 or 15.532, 15532 for Garrett. That'll sit him 14th on the grid.
Working our way quickly through qualifying. Just a handful of drivers left to take time for the 47th Annual Hardee's Rattler 250. On the racetrack now, the number 23 of Indianapolis, Indiana's Billy Van Meter. Sponsored by Masson & Kane Warehouse, Circle City Raceway, and Van Dorn Racing. The 2022 ARCA CRA Super Series Rookie of the Year, Billy Van Meter.
His last names just keep coming at us, synonymous with short track racing. Here is Van Meter as he makes his way around with that rolled up green flag. So he'll have another lap here to work in those American racers as he makes his way around the 0.4 of a mile South Alabama Speedway, getting set to have that green flag dropped over him and set his qualifying effort for the Rattler 250. Green flag in the air for Billy Van Meter.
Son of a legend up in the Midwest, Eddie Van Meter, who's been doing it for a long, long time. Bill Van Meter, the patriarch of that family, also making sure that the Billy is well taken care of as a little dirt track action. Slides it out of turn number 4. Billy Van Meter clocking in 18th quick on his first trip around South Alabama Speedway, looking for a little bit more as he's coming to the checkers.
15.566, 15566 that time. Lap number 2, flashing past the start-finish line. Van Meter, he will move it up. 15.519, 15.519. Good enough for 12th for Billy Van Meter.
One good run for Billy Van Meter right there. He's been struggling in practice all week. He's turned a bunch of laps. They finally found something. Hopefully he'll transition over to the Rattler 250 for him tomorrow. On the speedway now, in the number 7, DeAngelis Construction, Bonafide Security System Solutions, Fisher Trucks out of Richfield, Wisconsin is Johnny DeAngelis, a 2-time winner at Dales Raceway Park.
DeAngelis only one appearance here in the Rattler 250 back in 2021. Qualified in the top 10, running in the top 5 before a very early exit there, I believe, around lap 45, lap 47. But DeAngelis always on the gas when he makes his way down south. Another always in the hunt with that familiar number 7 car as he continues to roll around here, getting set to qualify, chasing the Jesse Love time of 15.341. Green flag in the air up over John DeAngelis.
Gets up on the wheel with some of the best of them when he makes his trip down here to South Alabama Speedway. You heard Rodney mention earlier that he's in contention, just needs it to stick together for it for 250 laps. He comes across 8 quick for Johnny D right there. I think he may have a shot for those Wilson Motorsports cars.
He may indeed. 15.429, 15429. Here he comes, slamming it out of turn number 4. He will take the checkered flag. DeAngelis, he will qualify in 6th as he improves to 15.387, 15387. Nice run for Johnny DeAngelis.
All right, Rodney, let's take a breath here. He's been fastest in every practice session we've ran. He's the winningest late model driver in the history of South Alabama Speedway. He's won an All-American 400. He's won an Oxford 250. He's won a Speed Fest. He's won a Winter Showdown. He's won a Rattler. He's won about everything you can think of. Many consider him, even though he's just 36 years old, the greatest of all time. He's from Sonoy, Georgia. His name is Bubba Pollard, and can he knock the Wilson Motorsports cars off the front row?
Many call him the king. Here he comes. Next time by, the green flag will wave over the familiar number 26 car, and not to mention, maybe even a little more motivated because somebody knocked him off of the pole for the Baby Rattler 125. We're about to find out. It comes to a head right now. Green flag in the air. Bubba Pollard under time for the Rattler 250.
Run this track in his sleep, I'm sure. He would play high school football on Friday nights back in the day and get up and drive down here and race his late model on Saturday afternoons during our old Viper late model series days. Across the line he comes, just 19th quick for Bubba Pollard. That's a little eyebrow-raising moment, but we've seen big pickups on lap 2. If anybody can do it, we know can.
15.554, low exit out of turn 2. Checkered flag up in the air, and Bubba Pollard to 12th. 15.510, 15510. The Sonoya, Georgia driver not going to be happy with that.
I'm absolutely shocked at that. He's been the fastest guy on property all weekend long and only times it in 12th quick. Wonder if he has a little bit of a race set up under that car, thinking more long run instead of short run speed. We'll see how it works out for Pollard tomorrow afternoon, but I'm sure he's not going to be happy with that run. On the racetrack right now, the 44M of Justin Mondique from Gleason, Wisconsin. Agri Industries, along with Aqua Finance and Powerhouse Lawn and Leisure, your 2022 Tundra late model champion, along with a big win back in 2020 in the Larry Deetjens Memorial.
Let's take a look here and see how Mondique will motor around right here as we talk about the influx of Midwest racers, California racers, and those teams making their way over. Another right here, and the thing about it, when you get those guys coming south, it's the cream of the crop, and this is another one right here for the driver behind this 44 car. To the back straightaway goes Mondique as he works on his lap number 1 out of Gleason, Wisconsin. Here he comes to the stripe. White flag in the air that time by 15.5 or 336 to the top of the charts goes to 44M. How about that?
Driver who we expected to run well in Bubba and didn't, and a guy that we weren't really sure about in Mondique, who's on the top of the board. 15.308 for Mondique. What a lap late in this qualifying session.
Boy, it's like they reversed roles right there. Mondique, a blistering time right there, a 3:08, and a substantial jump from what was already going to be the provisional pole. Wow, what a run there for the driver of the 44M. On the racetrack now, the lone representative from the Lone Star State onto the racetrack in the 14D.
Dixon, who for years his car out of Pearland, Texas. Now on his entry blank, he puts Taylor Lake Village, Texas as his hometown. The Davidson Electric Mike Garvey Racing, number 14D, a 2-time champion of the old USRA late model division.
Chris Davidson, one of the best that's ever come out of the state of Texas. Of course, that Davidson last name, synonymous there in the Lone Star State. His father, Greg Davidson, one of the best to ever strap into one of these late models in Texas and all around the country. Green flag in the air, lap number 1 here for Chris Davidson in the 14D.
Davidson would venture over here to South Alabama Speedway and run the Viper Pro Late Model Series. Picked up a couple of trophies during his time over here, but has been mainly racing on the West Coast for the past few years. Venturing back down south, and he'll go 15.813. That's just 26 quick for the veteran out of the great state of Texas.
Lots of work to do here for Davidson to better that 8:13. Here he comes around and wants to definitely get a better spot there than 26. Checkered flag in the air, and Davidson will improve it a little bit. He'll move up 2 spots to 24th as he goes with a 15.710, as you see a familiar livery out onto the racetrack right there. That race car is hard to miss. You see that, and you know what shop that car comes out of.
That race car comes out of the shop of the greatest driver maybe to ever come out of the Peach State of Georgia, Ronnie Sanders. He was my childhood hero when I was a young race fan. Now it's Hunter Robbins behind the wheel of the number 18 Kittle Holmes Pitboxes.com car. Hunter Robbins used to be from Shorter, Alabama, now calls Pensacola, Florida his hometown. The defending Southern Super Series champion and also a winner of the Lee Fields Memorial at Mobile Speedway. Hunter Robbins looking for a Rattler win. He came oh so close in 2007 in a crashing across the finish line finish with Augie Grill.
Here he comes out of turn 4. Green flag is in the air. Hunter Robbins under time in the Ronnie Sanders Motorsports car number 18 as we wind down the qualifying grid here for the Rattler 250 coming up tomorrow afternoon. Lap number 1, here's Sanders. Good entry into 3. It looks like a good exit out of turn 4. White flag in the air. Hunter Robbins, 15.444 puts him in 10th position. 15.444.
I'm sure if Ronnie got behind the wheel, he'd still be pretty good.
Absolutely.
But Ronnie's turned the keys over to Hunter Robbins, who's currently in 10th, and Hunter will stay 10th on his second lap and will keep the faster lap of 15.444. And Rodney, here we go.
We have been waiting for this all afternoon. Was he going to be able to get here? What was going to happen in Atlanta? How was all of that going to shake out? It didn't look like he was going to make it. As a matter of fact, there was no way he was going to make it. NASCAR overtime happens. 2 little sprinkles delay us for about 30 minutes. Boom, here he comes. Ty Majeski on the racetrack here for the Rattler 250.
TKC Construction, Kafka Granite, and iRacing on the side of the race car that's won 5 Rattlers in the last 6 years. 2022 NASCAR Truck Series, Final 4, Snowball Derby win, and basically everything else in America. This young man has won out of Neenah, Wisconsin. Ty Majeski, now he will get a slowest of his 2 qualifying laps due to being out of his position, but Majeski's under the green flag now, so keep an eye. He get the slowest of his 2 qualifying laps.
Let's take a look. This is lap number 1. Onto the back straightaway goes Majeski. What a day he has had from the NASCAR Craftsman trucks to the Rattler 250 at South Alabama. Lap number 1, that time by 15.298, 15.298 to the top of the charts from Atlanta to the top of the charts at South Alabama Speedway.
298, so we know he's going to start on the baby. We'll see on this second lap, 15.275, so Ty Majeski will take his slowest lap, but his slowest lap is the fastest lap of the day. Ty Majeski will lead the field to green in the 47th Rattler 250. What a story that has happened this afternoon at South Alabama Speedway.
Unbelievable for Ty Majeski. He has won the last 3 Rattler 250s. He does that little business he had to do in Georgia, takes care of that, and here he is. He is on the pole to try to win yet another Rattler 250. What a drive.
That young man can do a lot of stuff behind the wheel of a race car. I've never seen somebody dominate a racetrack like he does here at South Alabama Speedway. He didn't turn a lap here yesterday. He didn't turn a lap here Thursday. He hasn't been on this racetrack since a couple of shakedown laps on Wednesday. But Ty Majeski now sits his number 91 on the pole. And just what? An hour ago, he was leaving the racetrack at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, finishing 11th in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. And now he's on the pole for the 47th Annual Rattler 250. All I can say is wow, Rodney.
And you have to think about this, Ryan. When you think about cool under pressure on the racetrack is one thing, but let's just think about what he's been through. Let's get the whole 2 races thing out of the way. You have to get to a plane. You have to endure that flight. You have to get picked up. You have to get here so much to stay composed and still come out on your slowest lap to sit on the pole for the 47th annual Hardy's Rattler 250. What a Saturday story.
In a race car, in a racetrack he hasn't seen in 2 days. That's
unbelievable.
And how do you go from driving a NASCAR truck in a drafting Talladega Daytona S style of racing where you're hammered down on the throttle the entire afternoon? Then he has like you said, he has to get out of that. We had Matt Weaver on Twitter said that he saw Majeski get out of his truck and sprint to a vehicle waiting for him so he could leave that track. He had to fight the NASCAR traffic.
Exactly. I'm sure it wasn't easy
leaving the Atlanta Motor Speedway, fight that traffic, get to an airport, get on an airplane, go through the pre-flight checklist on that. We know that anybody that flies, even private or public, it's not an easy thing to do.
No, that's very hard.
And then,
it's very hard.
And then fly the 45-ish minute flight from the Griffin, Georgia area to over to Andalusia, Alabama. Then Andalusia's 15, 20 minutes away. To get here, it's a 4-lane highway, but still, I mean, what he was able to do, and not just him in the race car, but what his team was able to do to get him here from Atlanta is something that you'll talk about for a long time.
Absolutely, and you had to know when we saw him on the golf cart, when he made his way onto pit road, he's very calm on the golf cart. I mean, you don't see any anxiousness. You don't see anything. He's relaxed in the golf cart, jumps into the car, even with the penalty, if you want to call it that, the penalty incurred there of having to take the slowest of the 2 laps and still vaults to the top at a 15.275. Unbelievable what we just witnessed.
Absolutely unbelievable. Waiting on the official timing and scoring, but we know that Ty Majeski will be the sitter for tomorrow afternoon's 47th annual Hardy's Rattler 250. But also, hey, we kind of skipped it there towards the end, but Justin Mondig, that kind of came out of nowhere as well. He'll start outside of row number 1 with a lap of 15.308. Then row 2, 3rd and 4th, those Wilson Motorsports cars, you know they're going to be chomping at the bit after getting bested and knocked off the front row.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be set to go. And Jeremy Doss with yet another great run right there. He and Michael Goddard set right there. Johnny DeAngelis, Jet Noland, Austin Nason rounding out the top 3. But the question that we addressed when it happened, you have to wonder there about Bubba Pollard. If Bubba Pollard comes out, he is at 15th. He sits 15th on the qualifying grid right there. Not what we were expecting. I think we were ready for him to eclipse the Wilson Motorsports cars at that point. Didn't happen. Didn't even come close. But I love what you mentioned, Ryan. Is it possibly a race setup that is in that race car? We'll see how that all shakes out. The qualifying is done. Ty Majeski has written a brand new chapter into his legacy here with the Rattler 250 in South Alabama Speedway.
At the end of the field before we sign off here on Racing America's 5-Star Race Car Bodies Facebook feed. 11th was Hunter Robbins. Blaine Rocha goes 12th. Steve Dorr with a good run up in 13th. Nicholas Noggle went 14th. Bubba Pollard 15th. Dustin Smith was 16th. 17th Billy Van Meter. 18th went to Michael Atwell. 19th Timothy Watson. And Colin Garrett rounded out the top 20.
Going 21st, it was Michael Hein in the 69H. We thought we may see a little bit more out of that after the Pro Late Model run. 22nd was Colin Allman. 23rd, past winner Augie Grill, as he will start 23rd on the grid tomorrow. 24th was the 28D car of Dustin Williams. 25th, Hunter Wright in car number 29. That's your top 25 spots.
Quickly, 26th was Chris Davidson. Johnny Sauter all the way back in 27th. It'll be fun to see him come through the field tomorrow afternoon. 28th was Tony Elrod. Zach Telford went 29th. Nick Neary was 30th. And Brayton Laster rounded out your qualifying field in 31st. That will do it for our Freeview here on Racing America's 5-Star Race Car Bodies Facebook feed. When we come back up here in a little while at approximately 5:45-ish, I believe is what we're supposed to be, we will be on our subscription service of Racing America. So if you like what you saw in qualifying and want to see all of tonight's racing and tomorrow's Rattler 250, jump on to Racing America, sign up for a monthly or yearly subscription, and you won't miss a lap. For Rodney Rodriguez, I am Ryan McCullough. We're going to take a break. We'll see you here in just a little while on Racing America.
Welcome to Raceface Digital Collectible Cards. Are you a